Hey, loves, I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita, and you are tuned in to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, the best place in Philly to get uplifted and empowered. It's Monday, October 5th. Y'all know that means it's all about Money Monday, Motivation Monday, all of that good stuff. Shout out to all the folks that are joining us for Happy Hour from wherever you may be. Those of you who are tuned in on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming Word TV on wordradio.com, Facebook Live or YouTube. And I think Twitch too. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, check us out over on Twitch. Listen, we everywhere. We there. And of course, everyone who's listening in crystal clear on the free Word app, which is available in the Apple app and Google Play stores. Word TV fam, those of you, of course, over on our Facebook live stream, and make sure that you do us a solid, press the share button, start a watch party, all of that good stuff, because you know when it comes to Happy Hour on Word, the more the merrier. I do hope you have your cocktail, your mocktail, your water ready, because it's been a minute. It feels like forever. Kayla J, don't start. It feels like forever. It feels good. It feels good to be back. I've been out for like a week. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Sometimes you gotta know what you gotta know for when you need to know it. Okay? And something told me I was gonna need last week off to just really focus in on some of the things I needed to focus in on, to take that vacation time. Because quite frankly, when it comes to the show, I usually only take like one vacation a year, right? So I just feel like 2020 required a little bit more. So I took an extra week. Listen, I took an extra week, but it was with intention. It was with full purpose, because I needed to show up fully and very like present in a way for Black and Latinx communities. That is very important, and even within last week proved to be very necessary. And if you caught any of the headlines, any of what was happening last week, then you know it just required all of us to show up in maybe a little bit more of a different way than what was expected. Or I don't even know if we if we have expectations at this point for 2020. You show up, you make sure you stay rooted, 10 toes down in who you are and what you're about, and you shift. You shift environments, you shift culture, you shift rooms, you shift energy, but nonetheless, you know, you do your part to keep things moving forward in the direction in which you feel or really know to be true that things need to move in. or towards. So it was what it was. We'll get into that. But it is fall, y'all. I've been feeling that, okay? Seasons are changing, time is rolling on, and hopefully you are evolving through it all. Y'all know me by this point. It's 3 E's that I operate off of. That's empathize, empower, and evolve. And anytime I write that or speak about that, I really put a lot of the emphasis on evolve, right? Because that is what I truly believe we are here to do. It's to evolve things, to evolve people, to evolve spaces. And I think last week was a prime example of why it's important to evolve in your purpose, and to evolve in all that it is that you feel you've been called here to do. So, like I said, I was out last week. Feels good to be back. I missed y'all. I missed my girl, Kayla J. Shout out to her, who was holding down the phone lines, the board, and everything in between. Kayla J., how was your week? How was your weekend? Tell me how much you missed me.
I did. I missed you. Keep smile. All I kept saying, that's what friends are for. Do good times, do bad times.
Okay, you there. You there with it. I'm about to cook out.
We know we had 2 different cookouts.
But
anyway, I did miss you. I really did. Even though hanging out with Brother Shamari was super fun.
Shout out to him.
Happy hour just was not the same without you and your crazy shenanigans. My mama even told me, she said, I miss y'all shenanigans this week.
Yeah.
I had nobody to cut up with, especially after that dumpster fire of a debate. I had so many jokes. I was so ready, and I had no one to talk to them about. But but last week's programming was amazing. But we did miss you here. And on the weekend, your girl had her first campfire, and I was so excited. Right in North Philly, I did it. Me and my family did a small little campfire.
Where?
In the backyard.
So we went from a dumpster fire of a debate to a campfire north.
That's right. Campfires out north, you know what I mean? And it was great. So that was my weekend. I had my sister redid the backyard, and she has this beautiful garden out there, you guys. And since February, I've been saying, can we have a campfire? Can we have a campfire? And convinced my aunt to buy this fire pit way back out in February. And they said, Kaylee, you got to wait till the fall. And I was like, no, we don't. And all summer, even when it was 90 degrees, I was like, can we have a campfire?
No.
That's what they kept saying. So finally this weekend, I got my wish. My dream came true, and I had a campfire. I do not eat hot dogs and stuff like that, so we had a campfire with pizza and hot cocoa. And it was
no hamburgers, no hot dogs, no shish kebabs, no.
Next time, see, it was just I was like, my sister, I was like,
it was like spur of the moment.
I planned it, and I was like s'mores, and it was like no, and so then I was like pizza, and it was like yeah, and hot cocoa.
Pizza and hot cocoa. All right.
Pizza and hot cocoa.
Only Kayla J.
And
probably had veggie pizza.
Shut up. Oh.
Some hot cocoa.
It was sausage.
That's why she's laughing, because it wasn't too far from veggie pizza. It wasn't too far from some random combination. Okay. Got it. All right. Good times. Good times.
It was a great time. We stayed out there till midnight. It was really dope.
That's what's up.
And yeah, so that was my weekend.
I think if y'all, we gotta cultivate these spaces of just joy, right? Especially Black folks, we gotta cultivate these spaces of joy. I do want to take a moment to be very intentional and just send immense thanks and gratitude to Brother Shamari for holding down happy hour all last week. It was such an important conversation that we need to continue having in our community when we're looking at violence, specifically gun violence that's happening here in Philly. And that hit home indirectly in quite a few ways last week. Not only do I know quite a few educators who have lost students recently, and I'm talking about within the past week and a half, but there was also, a death resolution that I was contacted to write for a 19-year-old who was shot, I believe, twice in the head within the past week and a half. And so to have to wake up one morning and write that resolution and try to play a part in, whatever could be done to honor his memory And then, that switching gears to picking up, ear hustling, I should say, on a sixth grade classroom, a virtual learning situation that was going on, and how children were processing what's happening on a political and health crises front in terms of Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, both of their diagnoses, and then a bunch of folks in their camp, and seeing the perspective of sixth graders and majority black sixth graders processing that, and just like asking them, not me personally, but hearing a teacher ask them how they feel about it, and them very clearly and succinctly, might I add, saying, look, boy cared about how it's been affecting our community. Why should we care about him? Or, why, he didn't take the precautions that he should have took. Just all these different levels of reality that our children are even having to process. It's been a lot. And so I do want to say just to Brother Shamari, like, thank you so much, especially for that conversation around gun violence, because that was definitely a moment for me and having to write that resolution for a young man who meant so much to his community and to his school. And it just, I don't want to say it hit different, because that's not the first time that I've come to know of a young person who's lost their lives to gun violence, or whose lives have been affected because of gun violence. But it just, for me, highlighted and emphasized how important those conversations are right now. That, even within our community, there are so many realities that we are wrestling with. And as I even watched, and shout out to my folks, y'all know I've spoken on this before, as I watched Lovecraft Country last night and last week, it just was like, whew, ooh, the hats we carry, the burdens we bury, at any given point in time, specifically those who identify as black in America, who are black in America, and what that means for how we have to get to show up in spaces. It just further emphasized the importance not only of those conversations, but also of honoring and protecting and uplifting and keeping our joy. That is a not only a sign, but it's an act of resistance, and it's not anything to be taken lightly. I wish joy, I wish hope, I wish peace and healing for all, but especially for my folks in this time and place where I am right now in history. This is absolutely a time where, if you didn't know, joy is a form of resistance. Being able to smile and laugh and it come from a genuine place, it is absolutely all of that and more. So shout out to Brother Shamari for putting the important conversations in perspective, but also shout out to all of us out here who are making sure that we're holding space, that we're saving space for joy and for smiles and for laughter and for family and for connection and all of those things. Wearing your mask, hopefully, getting tested for COVID, most definitely, but just being responsible in it all, and also knowing that tomorrow is not promised. And so if you can do anything, please make sure that you find some joy, you find some laughter, and you find some audacity to show up exactly as you are, and all that you are called to do in your life. So we got to take a quick break. There's so much more that I want to share with you about my week off and navigating that. But phone lines are open. Just hit me up and say, hey, y'all. Let's get into it. The week is kicked off. Happy hour. We back in full effect this week. I want to know what y'all been up to, all that good stuff. If you are tuned in over on Facebook Live, send me a message, send Kayla J a message. Let's get into it. Our question of the day. I really just want to know what makes you happy. It's just that simple. I want to know what makes you happy, what fills your soul, what refills your cup. Call in, let us know. 215-634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065. You can also call in toll free, 866-361-0900. Again, 866-361-0900. I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita. This is Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We're streaming live on WURDradio.com. We'll be back after these messages.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Plenty of slow traffic on the Philly roads. This report is sponsored by Geico. Schuylkill Expressway eastbound jamming up already, 476 into the Conshohocken curve. After that, it slows Spring Garden into South Street. Westbound Schuylkill Expressway jamming University to 30th through the construction. Left lane is blocked. Further west, it slows City Avenue to Belmont. On the Vine Expressway eastbound, a jam 76 to Broad Street with a crash on the shoulder. Westbound on the Vine, that's stop and go as you head from the Ben Franklin Parkway back to the Schuylkill Expressway. 95 northbound jamming the Vine Expressway to Bridge Street, south on 95. That's stop and go common to Bridge through the construction zone. Then you're heavy from Allegheny into Girard. Boulevard northbound stop and go from the Schuylkill Expressway into Broad Street and through Bridesburg, Aramingo Avenue at Tacony Street. A crash there. Traffic's being directed around the scene. Bridges over the Delaware River, they look good in South Jersey. We have slow traffic in Collingswood, 130 southbound from North Park Drive into Haddon Avenue with construction. 295 southbound slowing, 168 to 42, and 42 southbound is heavy at 295.
It's October. And what does that mean? Well, it's Geico-ween, of course. Don't be spooked by high rates on car insurance. Geico is brewing up spellbinding savings that they're crafting just for you. See how much you could save. Get a quote today at geico.com.
For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. I'm Brendan Joseph with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home in the happy hour with Sincerely Sarita. Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m. Right here on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
To African Americans, what do you have to lose?
More than we could have ever imagined. Trump's policies make black people less safe, and his downplaying of coronavirus cost black lives. It's time to elect someone who cares about us. Joe Biden. Joe will fight racism and injustice everywhere. He'll expand Obamacare and rebuild our economy so it works for all of us. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it.
Paid for by Ask Me People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AskMePeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Listen live at WURDradio.com. WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the upcoming election.
This is Charles Ellison, host of Reality Check on WURD. Are you a Philly area voter who received your mail-in ballot but suddenly decided you want to vote in person? If you return your complete ballot to the county election office by October 27th, you may not vote in person on Election Day. However, if you don't return your complete mail-in ballot to your county before October 27th, you can go to a polling place, surrender your unvoted ballot and voter's declaration envelope, sign a statement, and vote on the machines. Keep following us at onWURD on Twitter, Facebook.com/4WURD, and hashtag WordOnPolitics for constant updates on election 2020. And remember, vote early.
Stay informed and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit WURDradio.com.
The North Star Convention is a statewide event where concerned citizens, lawmakers, union and community leaders are collectively working together to create an agenda that will address systemic issues in the black community throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Saturday, October 10th will feature keynote speaker Dr. Cornel West. Go to northstarconvention.com to register for the free convention.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
I backed that mandate months ago, he should back it now. Since the president entered the hospital on Friday, more than 100,000 more people have been diagnosed with COVID. And this week, at least 5,000 more will die. Cases and deaths are climbing in many states. I hope the president's recovery is swift and successful, but our nation's COVID crisis is far, far from over. Today, my prayers are with the families of the 210,000 Americans who died from the virus. All those families who got up this morning and there was an empty chair at the breakfast table. Tonight, an empty chair at the dinner table, where one should be. Husband, wife, son, daughter, mother, father. And nearly 7.5 million Americans have been infected with the virus to date. This pandemic and the economic collapse has hit the Hispanic communities particularly hard. Nationally, the infection rate among Hispanics is almost 3 times higher than white non-Hispanics. More than 40,000 Hispanics have died from COVID-19, devastating families and close-knit communities of loved ones. And here in Florida, where Hispanics make up about 1/4 of the population, they make up 37% of the COVID deaths. Nearly 3 million Hispanics are unemployed. If you break that down, that last data, unemployment for Hispanic women and Hispanic youth actually went up last month. 1 in 3 Hispanic small business owners have taken a hit, and many are likely to have to close permanently. Some economists are calling this what they call a K-shaped recovery. It means those at the top, they keep going up their income. But everyone from the middle and lower income, it keeps going down, keeps getting worse. It means that essential workers, so many of whom are Hispanic, who have sacrificed to keep us going through this pandemic, are being left behind by the most unequal recovery in modern American history. Because while workers are struggling, this is a shocking statistic, but it's true, the top 100 billionaires in America have done pretty well. Just since the COVID crisis, they have made an additional $300 billion. The top 100 made an additional $300 billion. For everyone else, though, they got the bottom half of that K, downward, the downward slide. You're left to figure out how you're going to pay your bills, put food on the table, pay the rent, or if you're lucky enough to own a home, will you have enough money to pay the mortgage? How to balance doing your job with being a teacher to your kids because their school has gone remote. You're asked to risk your neck because you can't work from home, where the risk of COVID are mostly kept outside. Because you're one of our first responders, a union nurse like Esther, or on an assembly line, or working in a customer service or tourism industry, or at a checkout counter, or police officer, a firefighter. I know this is an easy time, but I also think this pandemic has just helped us rip off the blinders in this country as how inequitable so many things are. People didn't even realize until now they've seen it. I truly believe we have a tremendous opportunity to turn this moment of crisis into a moment of great progress for the country. That's why I've laid out a comprehensive agenda, not just to rebuild our communities, but to build them back, make bold investments in them so we can build back better than before the crisis. An independent analysis, the president talks about, he loves talking about Wall Street. He never talks about Moody's on Wall Street that pointed out they did a detailed assessment of my economic plan and his. And here's what Moody's concluded. They projected my economic plan will create 18.6 million.
So we just wanted to give you a little taste there, some breaking news that's happening. Of course, 2020 presidential candidate Joe Biden is speaking, it looks like, from Florida. Shout out to MSNBC for that live stream. As he not only lays out or at least begins to lay out some of what the future would look like under his presidency, but even in hearing what I've heard thus far, a timely message, because if you didn't know, it is National Hispanic Heritage Month, or for many now, with the shifts that are happening, National Latinx Heritage Month, which runs from September 15th to October 15th. And so that emphasis on the Latinx community, on the Hispanic community is not, at least just purely from my perspective, not by chance. That is very strategic, which I think both parties have to be right now. And that's quite a bit of where I've seen a lot of the conversations that are happening in our everyday lives and conversations and communities about, just where things are headed from here. Because, child, we really seeing like reality TV play out, okay, in politics. And I mean, politics already is something else, but we're seeing it in a way that I think we haven't quite seen it in many of our lifetimes. And so definitely just keeping an eye on how all of this continues to play out, but definitely want to know how you have processed the past week, right? Whether it has been Trump and his wife and many in their camp, their party, that have been diagnosed with COVID-19, how you've been processing that. I would love to hear, what it's meant to you, what you think it will mean to the election. And so you can call in on that, 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. But then we've also had other developments that have been taking place. For example, with Breonna Taylor, right? Learning more about the grand jury proceedings and what evidence was or was not presented. Whether or not there, was this seeking of officers to be held accountable for her murder. And yes, that is me personally. That's the name I'm putting on. That's what I'm identifying it as. For that to have been justified, or even, whether it was carried out, the decisions that were made, whether they were carried out in accordance with not just the law, but also moral standing, right? So definitely call in on that. Again, 215-634-8065 and toll free 866-361-0900. And the list can most certainly go on and on in terms of all that we have had to digest in the past week. I would, as some of you know, I was out all last week. And so I want to catch up with you. I want to see where you're at with things. I want to see how you're processing things, how we're doing this together, because that's really important. And I do appreciate those who are tuned in over on WURD TV via Facebook Live, those who are welcoming us back. Shout out to Malcolm. He said he was listening in when Brother Shamari was holding things down, and he was right on point, as Malcolm shared. And that's real. That's real, because we have to, unfortunately, and I will say this, and I see the phone lines already starting to light up, but unfortunately, there is so much that we have to balance, navigate, come to terms with, lead the charge on. The list goes on and on, right, as the Black community. And that can take a toll, and let us not underestimate the kind of toll that can take on a person. And, you know, before we went to break, what I put out there as the question of the day was just, what makes you happy? And I asked that question because I don't want you to forget about that. I don't want you to lose sight of what makes you happy. And even in the midst of all the craziness last week, and I'm not even talking about, you know, just in the headlines or just in, you know, politics or whatever else the case may be, the things and the people who made me happy were how I stayed grounded last week. And I mean, that was working 18 plus hours a day in a very different way than I typically usually have to work. And so, like, the people and the folks who were holding me down or who held space with me in those moments made all the difference. Being able to support Black-owned businesses in a different kind of way, that was just like a refilling of my cup, right? And so I don't want us to lose sight in the midst of everything that's going on about what makes us happy. Who makes us happy or contributes to, because, you know, only you can truly make you happy. Folks just either add to it or they get in the way of it. Okay, if you didn't know that. So I do want to know what makes you happy, who contributes to your happiness. Call in, let us know. 215-634-8065 and toll free 866-361-0900. One of the big things that I was involved in last week was Chroma 2020. Right, which shout out to WURD Radio. We were a media partner for Chroma, and it was like solely focused on Black and Latinx founders, the genius of said founders that is not often involved in the conversations that happen, especially in the tech industry. But I mean, Chroma got into so much. I mean, whether it was, you know, entrepreneurship, health and wellness, like all of these different areas. And so it was a good time. I was more so behind the scenes, you know what I mean, on the communications and marketing end, but I also got to co-present a talk with the one and only Hania Sharp-Brown. She's actually going to be joining us at 6 p.m. And we're going to give just a little bit of taste of the conversation that we presented, the talk we presented at Chroma. It was called Clarity Beyond Communication. And there were some points that I think are really important and I want to make sure get brought to the airwaves. So stay tuned for that at 6 p.m. And I really wanted to dig into at least, I call her Hani because, you know, that's just where we at with our relationship and stuff, our friendship. I call her Hani, but I wanted to make sure we dug in a little deeper to, you know, those of us who are entrepreneurs, who are small business owners, who maybe don't have the budget for PR or strategic communications, how you still can make sure that you're telling your story right? You're pitching your story right. You're making the right moves, even if you got to make them by yourself. Right? So that's what we're going to get into at 6 p.m. So stay tuned for that. But in the midst of Chroma 2020 happening, there was also, as Kayla J and so many others described it as, you know, just that kind of, I want to get it right. What was it? A trash can burning, the debate.
Dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire. There we go. Dumpster fire of a debate. Y'all, that I couldn't do nothing but just sit there and scratch my head and say, okay, this is where we are. And if you're on social media, to see how folks around the world reacted to that debate was just all the more disheartening. Of like, the clowns that is the U.S. Like, folks are literally laughing right now, and have been, you know, about the state of the U.S. and its political standings. It just really is sad. And it was a sad display of humanity, I think, in that moment, of what it could have been and how we could have really, and when I say we, I just mean across the board, could have done better. So there was that happening. There was the viral blitz of coronavirus diagnosis among the Trump camp. That led to, and shout out to Blavity.com, that led to some coverage and attention to Twitter, specifically raising brows around hypocrisy at the social media company. There were 4 progressive Democratic congresswomen who have been a target of death threats on social media, particularly on Twitter, who began to question their effort, Twitter's effort, to protect Trump from malicious statements during this battle with COVID-19, but not them when they were getting those death threats. Right. And so you had Democratic Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley. They're otherwise known as, quote unquote, the squad, who noted that they didn't receive the same considerations that Twitter apparently has been holding for Trump with this diagnosis. And, you know, the social media platform tweeted out, quote, tweets that wish or hope for death, serious bodily harm or fatal disease against anyone are not allowed and will need to be removed. And so Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez replied, quote, so you mean to tell us you could have done this the whole time? The squad has regularly been targeted by xenophobic verbal attacks and threats, including from the president himself. So it's definitely this moment of, well, who's eligible for protection on social media, who's not? Like, how do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line at? And who's responsible for those decisions? Because if you look at who's in power at like in many of these social media institutions, they're not folks who look like you and me. And by you and me, I mean black, I mean women, I mean like all of these different identities. It's not typically that. It's white men, young or old. It's just white men. And so who is really determining that level of judgment and when one should step in and when they should not, when the company, the social media company should step in or not. So definitely very interesting to note. But anywho, got to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, I'm going to be shouting out some black-owned businesses that I supported in the past week and a half or so that you may want to consider supporting. And many of them are millennials or Gen Zers. So definitely stay tuned for that, but also giving you the rundown for what we have on tap for you during happy hour. You don't want to miss it. This is Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita. We'll be back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Melanie DeBose. I'm a single mom and I run a nonprofit. I don't have a lot of free time, and the safety of my family and employees always comes first. That's why I'm voting by mail this year.
Whether you're a Pennsylvania senior, essential worker, or simply someone who needs more flexibility to vote within a challenging schedule, voting by mail allows you to make your voice heard at the ballot box on your schedule while protecting your family's health. You can turn your mailbox into a ballot box by simply visiting votespa.com on your computer or any mobile device to request your mail-in ballot. With November 3rd around the corner, it's more important than ever to request your mail-in ballot today.
This year, I'm voting by mail because it's safe and easy. Voting on my time while keeping my family and employees safe.
We're all in this together, and voting by mail gives you the power to make your voice heard. So sign up at votespa.com or return your mail-in ballot application to your county election office today. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
A job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. Under my plan, 50% of emergency small business relief would be reserved for the smallest businesses to recover from the economic mess we're in and to rebuild the economic future our country deserves. We can't just build back to what it was before. We have to build back better. If we truly want to reward the work in this country, we have to ease the financial burdens of care that families are carrying. To start, every 3- and 4-year-old child gets access to free high-quality preschool. And low- and middle-income families won't spend more than 7% of their income on child care for children under the age of 5. Advancing racial equity across the American economy. Building wealth for families of color. Building a future worthy of their courage and their ambition. Just imagine if we could truly unleash their full potential. I'm confident we can do this. I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Support independent black media and join the 4WURD movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
Jefferson Health offers no-cost COVID-19 testing at St. Raymond of Pinafort Church. Testing is on Thursdays and Saturdays. For testing hours and more information, visit jeffersonhealth.org/community testing.
Smith Play John is a new kids TV show produced by Smith Memorial Playground. Tune in Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on Comcast, Verizon, or phillycam.org for at-home play breaks, music time, story time, and to share your John. Details at smithplayground.org.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. Just one more time. So they say, dance for me, dance for me, dance for me, oh, oh. I never seen anybody do the things you do before. They say, move for me, move for me, move for me, eh, eh. And when you're done, I'll make you do it all again. I said, oh my God, I see you walking by. Take my hands, my dear, and look me in my eyes. Just like a monkey, I've been dancing my whole life. But you just beg to see me dance just one more time. Ooh, I see you, see you, see you every time. And oh my, I like your style. You make me wanna cry. And now I beg to see you dance just one more time. So they say, dance for me, dance for me, dance for me, oh, oh. I never seen anybody do the things you do before. They say, move for me, move for me, move for me, eh, eh. And when you're done, I'll make you do it all again. They say, dance for me, dance for me, dance for me, oh, 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 oh. I never seen anybody do the things you do before. They say, move for me, move for me, move for me, eh, eh. And when you're done, I'll make you do it all again. Oh, oh, oh.
You're back listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I want to know, what makes you happy, right? Like, I need y'all to think about this. I need you to get into it. I need you to give some time and attention to that question, that idea of what makes you happy, who makes you happy, or contributes to your happiness. Because I think now more than ever, it's going to be really important. It's already proven to be really important for us to prioritize our fullness, our fulfillment, right? So call in, let us know, 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. Shout out to our social media fam, always down to join the on-air conversation from online. Rico Arch _S5 said, a day without anxiety winning. That is something that makes him happy, a day without anxiety winning. And I just got to say, first of all, I appreciate the transparency with that. Also, second, don't underestimate the power of anxiety and how it really can just disrupt life, your day, a moment, where maybe, you know, other folks are looking and saying, like, why aren't they happy about this milestone or, you know, this accomplishment, but the anxiety won't even let you, right? Because you're too on guard, trying to look for what's next and what's coming around the board or around the corner. You can't even appreciate the moment, because that's how deep the anxiety is, because that's how real the suspicion or the distrust of good things coming to you is. For real, y'all. It's real. So I appreciate Rico Arch for that transparency. Garen215 said, bopping with the fam. That is something that makes him happy. Bopping with the fam. Slaps, that's SLAPPZ_. You dig, said, having time to myself, to work on myself. Ooh, having time to myself to work on myself. That's definitely something, again, can't take for granted, because you don't always get that. I don't know about y'all. I don't always get that. That's something that I have to prioritize, that I have to, like, draw that boundary around. And I'm thankful that, you know, when I get that courage or whatever it may be within myself to do that, I'm usually very supported in it. It's just about me recognizing that, or remembering, I should say, that, you know, that is available to me, and I don't have to be all of these different things at all of these different times, but that I can hold space, save space for myself. So I appreciate that and that resonates with me. Over on Facebook, that same question and the response to it of what makes you happy. Ty said food. Absolutely. Let me just say, I've been eating good. Y'all, this past week I was eating good, and I'm trainer probably gonna kick my butt this week, but I've been eating good, and I'm not even mad at it. I'm gonna work hard. If I ate hard, I'm gonna have to work hard. That's just the reality of it. Jackson said art, heavy foliage, and waterways. Those are three things that makes him happy. Patrice said her days off from work. Those are that's what makes her happy. I know that's right. Shout out to everybody who's off on this Monday. Make the most of it. Enjoy it to the fullest. Or if you off tomorrow or you were off yesterday, I just hope you enjoy it to the fullest. And Candy said food and peace. Food and peace. Those are two things that make her happy. I believe we have a caller on the line. Oh, we're good. Okay. Well, the phone lines are open, 215-634-8065 and toll free 866-361-0900. Lynn said, what makes me happy? Sitting in the sun right about now. This time of the day feels so good. I know that's right. That vitamin D. Listen, that reminds me of something I wanted to share with y'all that I did this past week, and that's also going to lead to some other things. So this past week, right, something that really made me happy was the fam and I doing a socially distanced picnic. And by socially distanced, I mean we was away from other people and didn't play no games about somebody trying to come close. Don't ask me to take your picture, your selfie with you and your folks. Like, don't come in our bubble, okay? Don't do that. So we were socially distanced. We had a good time. Everybody brought what they wanted to eat. We got in some quality time, some quality talks. Not only that, we supported Black-owned businesses, and I want to shout out a few, okay? So, and I brought in some of the products. So if you're tuned in on WURD TV, you want to see some of what I'm sharing. But I want to first shout out Marsh and Main. They're located at 529 South 4th Street. And I have not been paid to share any of these folks. I do have a special code for one of them, but you already heard about them. But I want to make sure I shout them out because this past week, I really felt blessed to be able to support Black-owned businesses. And so I'm going to pass them along to you. In case you want to do that, because the power does lie in the dollar, in case you didn't know. So there's Marsh and Main, located at 529 South 4th Street. I saw on social media that they have these picks, like hair picks, right? The Afro picks, they have all these different designs. They're created by 3 young brothers. They're blood brothers. They have 6 different prints. I've copped 2 thus far. Okay, so I'm trying to show the folks who are tuned in over on WURD TV. Hopefully you can get into the designs on these. But these pics, listen, I have some. I have a photo that I posted over on Instagram. I was so hyped once I got these pics, and they came with like these special like packaging and all of that kind of stuff. But that was one, or I guess technically two, because Marsh and Main is the retailer, but the designers, like I mentioned, it's 3 young black brothers, right? So shout out to Marsh and Main, shout out to Afro Pick, P-I-C-K, because I'm feeling these Afro picks, and my hair is growing out, my mane is growing out, and so that was super dope. Anytime that I'm looking to relax, that I'm looking to just, you know, woosah in this world, which all last week I needed to do, and that meant that I needed to get into my tea and sip it all because, honey, tea was flowing left and right out in this world, in these politics streets. Ginger Tea. Shout out to Ginger Tea, black owned and operated. And so I do have a code for them, Sarita 2020. I like have been just all into that. And then my little bro, Optimistic Observations, right? Not only does he have a clothing line, but he has, he dropped like these new trucker hats. And if you follow me on social, then you see me in these trucker hats. Or you see me, you seen Hania Shar Brown, which I'll be talking to her at 6 p.m. and some other folks. You've seen us in our trucker hats. I want to shout out all of these black owned businesses because I just really appreciate them thriving in spite of, right? So for Marsh and Main, again, they're at 529 South 4th Street. You can also check them out online. Optimistic Observations, it's optimisticobservations.com. And just sidebar, speaking of Optimistic Observations, CNN reported that a black-owned sister-ran business called Bagdom, toned by Bagdom, Baggedem. They're redefining what yoga looks like literally. So it's this fitness-focused brand where they are putting like these yoga mats that feature images of women with different hair types, head wraps, skin tones, body shapes and sizes, all of that. They've created that, and they also for a limited time have these mats that feature black men as well. So over on Bagdem, BAGGEDEM.com, you can order, you know, your yoga mat that you know got our folks on it. So that was super dope. I also supported Beautifully Created by Tiffany Mack, and that's BEAUTIFFULY, Beautifully Created by Tiffany Mack over on Etsy. I was on Etsy a lot this week, y'all. Shout out to Etsy. But Beautifully Created by Tiffany Mack. There was Zipporah Scents. They're based in the DMV. They have homemade candles, scents, etc. Shout out to the owner, Kanae. Looks like we'll be bringing her on for happy hour this week, so just wait on it. But ZIPORA scents.etsy.com. Going to be featuring her. And then Savage by Fenty. Yep, I support it. This is my multiple times supporting Rihanna. Okay, I had to cop me some new stuff because child Riri knows and understands what Riri, not me. What I'm into. And so yes, I definitely supported her as well. Savage by Fenty. That is a black-owned, woman-owned line. So shout out to her. And then on Throwback Thursday, shout out to 15-year-old Haley, who has been on Happy Hour. She's the CEO of Lee Essentials and All Natural Skincare line. Also available on Etsy, LEE Essentials. Support her. So just a few different black-owned businesses that I wanted to make sure we shout out today on Money Monday.
But she didn't come get no pictures by me, though.
Oh, you doing big? Let folks know. Should we be hitting you up for photographs and stuff? What we doing?
Yeah, I do photography, videography, and social media consulting on the side. That's my business, Kayla J Inc.
Oh,
check the website out. Yeah,
listen,
it's on my socials.
But we need to make sure it's on these airwaves. Okay. So now you know also what you can hit Kayla J up for. Outside of, you know what we do here. Anywho, we got to take this quick break. When we come back, on the other side is money. We getting money. So, you know, we got to talk. I'm already dancing, already body rolling. We got to get into it with our licensed financial professional and happy hour friend, Joanna Jane, for the continuation of our series, The Bones of Business. So don't miss that. This is Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We'll be back after these messages.
Get your money straight.
Get my money right.
It's Solomon Jones and Akbar Hassan.
Fridays on Wake Up with Word.
7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Hosted by Solomon Jones. Exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Hello? Hey, you've been on my mind, so I'm just calling to check in. Oh, we're holding up well here in Pennsylvania. Just trying to stay safe and figuring out if we should vote in person or by mail. We like going to the polls.
Yeah, you never miss an election.
And you know we're not missing this year either, and neither should you. But which way is the safest?
Well, remember that valuable information you got from AARP about COVID-19? Mom even had me read it.
Yeah, that was good info.
AARP has up-to-date voting information for 50-plus voters in every state. It's right there at aarp.org/election2020.
Oh, I got it. aarp.org/election2020. I love having the answers before your mama.
Pops, you know what happens when you try to show out.
Yeah, you probably right about that.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real
with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
This program is pre-recorded.
No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
Home of the Happy Hour.
The Happy Hour.
With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
You're back listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio 96.1 FM 900 AM. I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita. It's Monday. You know what that means? It's talking about money. That's what we talk about. That's what time it is. We need to talk about money. We need to talk about motivation, all of that. And so we are continuing the conversation with our happy hour friend and licensed financial professional, Joanna Jane, around the bones of business. The bones of business. Okay, this series was really designed to provide you with the need to knows before you fully breathe life into your potential business, or if you want to take it to the next level, right? Just some things that you need to keep in mind. So, with no further ado, not only want to welcome our happy hour friend Joanna Jane, but she brought a friend. So we're gonna get to introductions and all that. But for now, let's welcome Joanna Jane. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, hi, my happy hour family. It's great to always be here each and every Monday. So I'm happy to be here once again.
Yes. So we were on hiatus last week, and I definitely had a moment of like, child, there's so much information we need to get out, but nonetheless, we picking right back up where we left off. We don't miss a beat. So, Joanna, I mean, for this week especially, and just even in this moment, what do you feel like we really need to kind of hone in on right now?
I think that where we need to hone in on today is really, looking deeper into the bones, right? So we tapped into operating in purpose, and then we talked about, different tips around how you should not, blur your finances together. We went through all of those things. However, we do need to touch base on how is your business structured? This right here, Sarita, I have been a living witness and still currently going through it because my baby is still within 5 years old. And when I say my baby, y'all, I mean my O'Hara developments. We're still within the early stages. But what I've seen is that how we're structured really means everything to opportunities that we receive, tax benefits that we can be able to take advantage of. It really means a lot. It's even easier for when you have to prepare to submit certain documentations that you may need to go through a loan process. It's very clear, very cut on who owns what percentage of ownership do they have, how does your business operate. So today I wanted to talk about just a couple of the areas, or at least just a hint on them, because time, we only have so much time here, but at least to be able to hint on some of the ways that you can be able to structure your business. And then I brought a personal friend. She's actually snatched my life. I don't bring nobody with no foolishness. I bring the real deal. So she's actually snatched my life together. And I brought my friend Erica Booth on, who is a tax accountant. She is all of the above when it comes to that area. She knows how to get it all together. So if you're like, ooh, I've been kind of trifling the last couple of years of my taxes. Ooh, I'm not sure if my money is looking right. She is the person that can get her company, I should say, not just she, because she has her hands in a lot of things. Well, her company is the place to definitely take a look at that can be able to provide you the services that you need.
Listen, let me just say, okay, as I scratch my head, I think it's a real conversation that we need to have about, businesses and getting taxes done in 2020, especially because it's been so crazy. I feel like it's been so crazy in 2020 when it comes to business owners, especially small business owners. Maybe you're even an independent contractor, and keeping track of all the dates and whatever else you may be dealing with in the midst of 2020, and what all of that means for the bones of your business is really important for us to have that discussion. I do want to take a quick second before we dive into this conversation to kind of loop back to someone I mentioned a bit earlier, and that is Haley, 15-year-old Haley, who she's bossing, okay? She's bossing. CEO. Period. CEO of Lee Essentials, which is an all-natural skincare line. During this past week when I was out, I started getting these social media notifications, and I'm like, all right, let me click, let me see what this is about. And then I start hearing my voice, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the interview that Haley and I did for her business, Lee Essentials, because, honey, I support it and got my shea butter, and all I'm going to say is my skin thanked me for it, okay? It was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I will be returning. But Haley is your daughter. And
yeah,
so,
she is. And she's right here.
Oh,
say hi real quick.
Hey, honey. If you're tuned in over on WURD TV, YouTube, Twitch, any of that, you just saw her. But yeah, so I saw the social media pings, and I reshared over on Instagram, and I believe someone else did as well. And All Money Shots, shout out to All Money Shots, retweeted as well. But just what has it meant for you, not only as an entrepreneur, a founder, to, be building and thriving in your own right in 2020, but to also see, your child, next generation, your daughter doing the same?
It means everything. Like, our conversations in the house is very bipolar-ish. Like, it's like your traditional mom-daughter conversations about homework. Did you complete the essay? Are you studying for Spanish? To how many posts did you get out this week? Did you make sure and do this? How are you presenting your business? Are you making sure people are still remembering that you have? Did you check your Etsy account? Like, it's very much the wave of it, but it's everything, because what we do, we operate in the mindset of legacy. Like, I have brought her down to Baltimore to see, the projects and how things are going, and when things go right and when things don't go well. She's a part of those conversations, so she gets a chance to hear what does that mean. And what I want for her is very similar to what my dad did for me, is not to be surprised and feel overwhelmed by it all as she gets older and things become more of her inheritance and her responsibility, because sometimes when we don't include our children in it, it becomes so heavy, and the very first time somebody waves a check to them, they sell it. So I really am proud of all that she's doing. I'm proud to just see like how she's taken, just pride in her business, and she's getting ready to come out with a couple other products, and she naturally loves what she has, and she's like, I saw something on my skin, and mommy, I put this together and I researched this, and so I love to see how vested she is. It's definitely not easy. We've had the comparison conversation, like, don't compare to what somebody else is doing and you get stuck and then you fall behind. So we've had those talks too, but all in all, it's been a joy to really see, and I'm blessed that God has used me in a way that I can be a blessing to my daughter and future children.
And yeah, blessing everybody else too. I mean, even when it's just the photo shoot that y'all recently did.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Ooh, come through, black everything, all black everything, black women doing the darn thing.
Oh my gosh, Rita, that was like a moment
it was beautiful.
Will never forget. And when you're in it, you're not like seeing it. And shout out to Terrell Maurice, who was the creative designer of the entire set, how he put everything together. He wasn't getting, let me tell y'all, I love to know the deets of what I'm getting ready to walk into, so I'm fully prepared, because there's nothing worse than being on a set and then you're like trying to figure it all out. But he just was like, I got this. And I mean, to how we played around with our locks, to the draping, the couch, the plants, he really brought it all together. And it was a moment that I said, Haley in a couple years is going to be 18. I really want to seize this moment on where we are, how far God has brought us, and for us to just enjoy who we are as Black women, natural hair, not overly done makeup. And he did exactly that. And to see some of the finished pictures, some that we haven't even posted, we're going to actually like put them on canvas and hang them up in the house. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And I really hope we inspired other parents, other moms, especially with their daughters, to encourage them to embrace their beauty. There's nothing wrong with a lace front. Do your own thing, all fine and well. But it is nothing like saying, I also love just the way my hair comes out of my scalp. I love my skin, and I love how the sun pops off of it. Just saying.
Yeah, no, I want to shout out, because clearly, y'all, today I came back like Black business everything. Not that hasn't been where I've been at, but like Creative Mind Productions, aka CMP Photos, Dwafe, Holistic Hair Care, just some of the folks who played a part in that photo shoot that I saw in that blue background. There's one particular shot where there is this blue-black background behind Joanna and her daughter Haley, and they're both looking up, but Joanna is kind of looking at her daughter, who I'm just gonna say, sis, she looked a little taller than you in that moment. And I just had this moment with my 15-year-old, and I was like, you better bend down. In my head, I'm like, you better bend down in this picture. Okay, bend them knees. Okay, I'm still a mom, even though I'm 5'2.5". Don't do that to me right now. But to see Haley kind of looking a bit above your head, or kind of looking at your crown, and you being so focused on her, it was just like this generational, just like the lines of evolution. And I just, there's so much that a picture can capture and express. So yeah, I just had to make sure I show love publicly on that one, because that was beautiful.
And shout out again to the whole team that was involved.
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody for being a part of that.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the money. Let's get into that. Where do you want to go from here? I mean, I know we have about 4 minutes before we have to go to break, but I want to set the stage for Erica Booth to join us, to come into this conversation. But in terms of kind of the ground laying that we want to usher her in on, what do you feel like is the best place for us to start in terms of the bones of the business?
So I think where we should start are just some key areas, and I would say some of the most popular business structures that we actually hear. One being your sole proprietorship. That's where you're really taking on a lot of the personal financial responsibilities of the business. A lot of times people do start here when they're not really ready to form a corporation and things of that nature. So sole proprietorships are definitely one of the business structures. Then we have partnership. This is where you have more than one person that's actually involved in your business, where you're sharing profits and so forth. So this is where you can be able to clearly claim, well, Sarita, I made this part of the business. This was what my returns were. And you could say, well, Joanna, this was what I claimed. But yet we're still in one business. So that's what, partnership. And I'm kind of grazing over some of this because I'm going to let the true expert kind of dive in. But I'm just sharing with people, as you're thinking about your business, also think about how do you want it to be structured. And I'm strongly encouraging that you don't make this decision alone. You want to involve a professional that does this every day. They know how some of these laws have changed over the years for the best fit for your business. Then you have your corporation. And then of course you have one of the most popular things that we hear people do nowadays is create an LLC. And where that really falls into line with the LLC, the limited liability company, is where it starts to protect you against risk. So, we'll just use real estate, for example. If something was to happen and somebody was to slip and fall, on your property, by you having, obviously you want to make sure that you have good insurance, but by your name not being personally tied to that property, it does provide you a level of protection. So all of your personal assets are not at risk to be possibly sued and possibly be taken. So these are a couple of the different structures that you'll hear Erica go more into, and how this plays out for the future of your business. Now, one thing I want to say before we go is also considering how a nonprofit status can also go in conjunction with your business. This is a great way to kiss the two that have different tax privileges, especially if you are that type of person, very similar to me, that loves to reinvest a portion of their profits into whatever your like may be. For me, it's community, it's green space projects. So for the for-profit side, we take a percentage of our profit and we donate it to our nonprofit that then owns a lot of our green space and maintains a lot of our green space. So we're able to have that money go on that side. And we get the tax breaks, we get the tax write-off because we did donate to a nonprofit, and that nonprofit was able to serve a purpose. So thinking about how you can also kiss a nonprofit status with your existing status as a LLC or as a corporation or so forth, and how that can play a benefit. These are not things a lot of times people jump right into in the very beginning. Again, you want to see when is your business telling you that you need to do this. We've heard mixed reviews. Some people say immediately, right in the beginning. But if you're still not sure, do you want to go ahead and create this whole entity and pay for all of this stuff when you haven't even made your first dollar yet? Or do you wait until you cross a certain point of income in your business to say, you know what, based upon revenue, based upon what we're seeing for the last 6 months, 8 months, or a year, it's time. I think it depends sometimes depending on your industry and depending on how active you are in your business. If this is something that you're doing like once or twice a year, I don't know. That's something to think about. Is it worth it? But again, if you're doing real estate and you're doing 1 or 2 flips a year, you definitely still want to consider a LLC. So all that in saying, it depends. You'll hear that as a reason in a number of things, especially when it comes to business. It depends on your purpose, your vision, and what type of business you're actually looking to execute and provide a product or service for.
Gotcha. So we have to take a quick break, but I love that idea of your business telling you when it's time, right? Like paying attention to that. Because for any of you who, because mind you, this series is called The Bones of Business, right? So when we think about that, let's put that in relation to, and it's only for some folks who may, I don't even want to, relegate it to age or whatever, but your bones know when it's about to rain. Right? Like your bones know when certain things are about to happen, right? Your bones will tell you before the weatherman or the weatherwoman or whomever. Kayla J, don't laugh at me like this. I'm dead serious because I'm at a point in my life where my knees say something real clear to me before they happen. Okay?
She calling herself old.
That's fine. And so I'm saying if it can happen for your body, it can happen for your business. That's all I'm saying. Ooh, that's a word. That's all I'm saying. If your bones will tell you when the rain is coming, right? The bones of your business will tell you when growth is coming. And I don't know if any of you all went through growing pains, like literal growing pains when you were younger and like you felt certain parts of your body that were hurting. And I remember going to my mom and she's like, oh no, for real, girl, like that's growing pains. You're literally, you're growing, you're expanding. Your business will do that. And as you get older, it's a different kind of growing pains. It's about when that rain is coming. So like, please, I want y'all to relate this to real life experiences. And right now in my life, don't think I can relate it to is when it's about to rain or something like that. Or, I tried to do, before I go to break real quick, I tried to do, I tried to do a cartwheel the other day.
Oh, no.
I don't know why.
Why was this not Instagrammed? I need to
Oh,
look at
my
that.
gosh. But babe is sitting there on the couch. Didn't know I was about to do this. I'm running out of a whole nother room, right? Because I'm just like, oh, I'm going to cartwheel. I went to go cartwheel.
Flat on your behind,
on carpet, smooth carpet.
Oh,
honey, I just knew I was going to flip into the room. Slid. I slid so hard. So, babe turned looking at the computer, looked from the computer doing work, and looked at me on the ground. I said, hold on, wait. I'll be right back. I just need a second. I had to go back and try it again. I got it, though, but I did. In that moment, I tried it, and I knew it. So I'm just saying, before you get to that point of trying it, we try and give you the bones of the business so you don't break the bones of your business, okay? So this is Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. When we come back on the other side, we're going to continue this conversation with Joanna Jane of O'Hara Development. We'll also be chatting with Erica Booth, because we're going to get into the taxes, okay? We're going to get into the money of the business, okay? Stay tuned. Phone lines are open, 215-634-8065. Toll free, 866-361-0900. We'll be back after these messages.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Some slow spots to battle on the Philly roads. This report is sponsored by Geico. Starting on 95 northbound, jam traffic from Allegheny to Bridge Street with extra volume. Southbound 95 at stop and go as well from Cottman Avenue down to Bridge Street through the construction zone. Then you're tapping the brakes again to the Blue Route 476. Vine Expressway, eastbound it's heavy from 76 to Broad. Westbound slows Broad back to the Schuylkill. Schuylkill eastbound is stop and go 476 into Belmont, then heavy from Girard into South Street. Westbound Schuylkill jams from University to 30th Street through the construction. One lane is blocked. blocked. Boulevard northbound, slow traffic from the Schuylkill Expressway up to Broad Street. South on the boulevard, jamming up 9th Street to Wissahickon Avenue. Right lane blocked by a crash there. In Wilmington, Adams Street northbound at I-95. Right lane blocked by a crash. Left lanes are getting by. Bridges over the Delaware River look good. In South Jersey, jammed on 295 northbound from Mount Royal up to Mantua. That because of construction. Only 2 lanes are getting by. 42 southbound, tap of the brakes from the Walt Whitman Bridge into 295.
Want to know what's really scary? Seeing just how much you could have been saving on car insurance by switching to Geico. It's almost as scary as watching your dog growl at the wall and realize he sees something you don't. Get a quote at geico.com.
For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. I'm Brendan Joseph with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's easier than ever to get the right health coverage for families of all sizes.
This is Bonnie, Ronnie, Tani, Johnny.
Penny gets you covered. Millennials, gig workers, virtual birthday partiers.
Grandma, you're on mute.
Penny gets you all covered. Penny helps you compare plans, get financial assistance, and purchase health insurance that fits your life. Get covered at PENNIE.com.
WURDRadio.com. It's Health and Wellness Week with Tiffany Bacon.
This Monday through Thursday from 7 till 9 p.m. on WURD Radio.
Join Tiffany this Monday for a conversation with COVID-19 survivors and learn more about accessing healthcare and choosing a good doctor.
Health and Wellness Week.
This Monday through Thursday from 7 till 9 p.m. Hosted by Tiffany Bacon. Exclusively on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on WURDRadio.com. The WURD Radio app, and watch live on WURD TV via Facebook.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at ForWord.
WURD TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media. Grab your mic. It's time for Kayla J's Karaoke Song of the Day.
Ladies up in here tonight. No fighting.
We got the refugees.
No fighting. No fighting. Shakira, Shakira.
I never really knew that she could dance like this. She make a man wanna speak Spanish. Como se llama? Bonita. Picasa.
Shakira, Shakira.
Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad. So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body. I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel it's right. All the attraction, the tension. Don't you see, baby, this is perfection.
Hey, girl, I can see your body moving, and it's driving me crazy. And I didn't have the slightest idea until I saw you dancing. And when you walk up on the dance floor, nobody can ignore the way you move your body, girl. And everything's so unexpected, the way you right and left it. So you can keep on shaking it.
Never really knew that she could dance like this. She make a man wanna speak Spanish. Como se llama? Bonita. Picasa.
Shakira, Shakira.
Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad. So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body. I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel you, boy. Come on, let's go real slow. Don't you see, baby, I see it's perfect. Babe, I know I'm on tonight, my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel it's right. All the attraction, the tension. Don't you see, baby, this is perfection. Oh boy, I can see your body moving, half animal, half man. I don't really know what I'm doing, but just seem to have a plan. My will, self-restraint, have come to fail now, fail now. See, I'm doing what I can, but I can't, so you know that's a bit too hard to explain.
Spanish, como se llama? Bonita, Picasa.
Shakira, Shakira.
Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you know you got me hypnotized. So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body.
Señorita, feel the conga. Let me see you move like you come from Colombia.
Mira, en Barranquilla se baila así. ¡Sí!
En Barranquilla se baila así.
Yeah, she's so sexy, yeah,
You know, I ain't been able to go on vacation. Kayla J, you took me there. Okay. It's National Hispanic Heritage Month, just FYI, in case you were wondering. National Latinx Heritage Month, whichever one you want to go by. But I hope you moved your hips a little bit. Okay, you got your bones moving. Because if it
that
rains...
just give you a tip to what this playlist is about to be about this weekend.
Get it moving. Get it moving, okay? Anywho, let's jump back into our conversation with Joanna Jane. Happy Monday. It's Money Monday, Motivation Monday. It's Coins and Conversation right now. That's what we're getting into. And we're talking about the bones of business with Joanna Jane of O'Hara Development. And with this series, right, with the Bones of Business series, we're really looking to give you kind of exactly what it sounds like, the bones of it, the fundamentals of it, so that you can really ensure your business is a living, breathing thing. And I know, like, when I was building my brand and my business, that was, for me, the goal. It was to make it this living, breathing extension of me, and knowing that I was going into this, wanting it to be able to evolve, to become something likely bigger than I could have imagined, right? And that is scary. Especially when you start to think about the money and the taxes and like all of that other stuff that comes with it, because you don't know everything. Let me say that again. You don't know everything. You may want everything, right? For yourself, for your business, for your family, for your community, but you don't know all of how to do that. And that is where experts and professionals really do play a big part in the success or lack thereof that you may experience. It's about being in alignment with the right folks. And I'm thankful that through Coins and Conversations, we've been able to be aligned with the right folks, right? And that being Joanna Jane and guests that she has brought on and joined us for happy hour. And so today we have a happy hour guest that is joining us, Erica Booth. Joanna Jane, you want to tell us a little bit about Erica before we bring her into the fold and get into this real talk?
Okay, Erica, I'll save all of our late nights where we were, doing some things we probably shouldn't have done. I won't talk much about it. I'm just playing.
Listen, when you got to get through business, you got to figure it out. Shout out to everybody. Gets it done.
No, but in all seriousness, I met Erica. I feel like probably now around 3 years ago. We bumped into each other at a women's conference out in Delaware, and I feel like we just kind of hit it off. I don't know if it was the whole Libra vibe and all of that great stuff, but from the very beginning, I felt like she was thorough. She knew her stuff. She was very clear. She was not taking any cuts, any corners to make you happy. She's a straight shooter. So just to let you know, if you hire her for services, put your feelings, leave it at the door, because it's about business when you sit down with Miss Erica Booth. But she also has a heart for community. She really wants to see people, thrive in their business, make the right decisions. And that is the reason why, when a number of things that I have that come up, she's one of the first people that I think of that I want to be involved in a conference, on a show, and someone that I personally use for services as well. So of course, having this opportunity to do the Bones of Business series, she was one of the first people I said, gotta have Erica on. So Erica Booth, y'all.
Erica, thank you so much for joining us for happy hour. Really quickly, tell folks a little bit in your own words about who you are and what you do.
Yes. So I have been in business for almost 7 years in March of 2021. And I thoroughly love working with others when it comes to taxes and businesses and business owners trying to figure out, what to do, how to make a move in their business. I love telling everybody to keep up with their tax filings on a yearly basis. I love telling businesses to keep up with your compliance with tax prep, financial statements. I mean, this year alone has really reiterated every everything I said all those years about how important it is to keep your taxes up to date and keep your numbers up to this year alone definitely confirms that.
Gotcha.
And we've just been around. We're in Lansdowne, PA. We have clients in Philadelphia, all parts of PA, New York, Baltimore, Delaware, New Jersey, California, Ohio. We have clients everywhere. Florida, even Jamaica. You know, I have a couple clients in Jamaica. And we just love providing services, but we like to provide an educational component along with those services. So you're not just going to get the work done that you need done. We are going to provide you with wonderful explanations as to why certain things just have to be done as a business owner and just as a normal tax filer every year.
Got you. So, Joanna, I know, the Bones of Businesses series is really like your brainchild. So when we're thinking about, the expertise that Erica has to bring to this conversation, as some of us sip our tea, our cocktails, mocktails, our water, anything that's, going to sober us up very much so when it comes to this money and these taxes. What is it that you want to make sure, at least in this segment, before we go to break in about 4 minutes, that, we want to make sure folks hear from Erica?
Oh, absolutely. Erica, I would love for you to share just on, as a follow-up to what I was sharing in terms of the structure of your business and how that plays out, in your taxes.
Okay. So when it comes to the entity structure, it is very important to understand the type of entity you select in order to hopefully grow your business to expand. Because I feel like sometimes folks are just into one bucket, maybe. I'll say the LLC bucket, or like a C Corp bucket, and they don't really understand the variations between the different entities. I'll give an example. So LLC, of course, has been around for forever, and a lot of small business owners are LLCs. Or if you're not an LLC, you're a sole proprietor. Everything falls under your Social Security number, but you're trying to operate as such like an LLC, but your assets, your personal and your business are still intertwining when you are a sole proprietor. So I have clients that say, okay, well, I'm an LLC, I run this business, but then when it's time for me to start preparing the tax work, I see some other findings, and then I say, well, do you have a partner, somebody working with you? Because you keep, referencing someone else, and they'll say, oh, yeah, I have a partner. Yeah, we're just an LLC. And I said, well, that's a different entity. You're a partnership now. We have to file a partnership return for you. And they'll say, well, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, that's super important. When I have clients that come by, I always ask for what's called the EIN letter. You ladies are familiar with that, I know.
Yes.
The EIN letter. The EIN letter will tell you everything you need to know and what type of return to file. But I just have a lot of folks that I run into that don't have that letter or don't have access to it. They may be following the incorrect entity structure, which will really mess up a lot in their business with the IRS, and you definitely don't want to do that. So I have LLCs that should be filed as partnerships. I have an LLC who wants to be taxed as an S Corp. And an S Corp is it's not new, but it's been around a little while, and it allows that business owner to take draws, take money from their business, and they have to be on payroll. And I have a lot of clients that did not know that if they elect to be an S Corp and even a C Corp, that they have to be on payroll. You are an employee in your business now. You're just not the owner of it. You work in it, and you have to show that through payroll taxes. And I can't tell you how many times I have clients that get caught up in that because they may have just received incorrect information from other preparers, or they just didn't do due diligence to really find out what they should do when they are filing under a particular entity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question, Erica, because sometimes people don't know when is that time. So in your opinion, and I know this might be one of those depends answer, in your experience, when do people know it's time to transition, or what are some signs that it's time for you to transition from that LLC, to a S corp or a C corp when you're now taking income? Like, how do you know? Is it a certain salary bracket? Like, what does that look like? So people can maybe start getting some ideas, like, maybe I need to consider maybe changing something up.
A lot of times for me with clients, it's not until we start preparing their returns and they start to see what that tax liability looks like. And then they start to say, well, what did I do?
Right.
Well, this is a lot. And I don't have the money for this. And, I mean, this is crazy.
It's like that moment when you get to the Target checkout line and you're wondering, what did I buy? You're like, wait a minute, what did I do?
Like, you scanned that product at one of those self-scanners somewhere in the store, but then you get to the register and they're like, oh, no, it's
different.
$200 more. Like, oh, I know it's not. The devil is a lie. I'm going to put it back. But that's the reaction that a lot of my clients get, and they don't. If you're not paying quarterly estimated taxes and you wait till the end of the year, because that's what happens with a lot of folks, you're trying to juggle. When you're your own business, you already have a lot of expenses coming out of every crevice. So you try to hold on to dollars as much as you can. So some people just don't choose to file quarterly. So they'll say, I'll pay it at the end. But when they get to that end, and it's a comma in there, it's 5 digits, it's definitely an eye-opener. And then we start having that conversation. And then when we do, I always say, well, if you want to take it to an S Corp or a C Corp, you have to be on payroll. Because like I said, that's one of the main items that's not discussed when you switch over to a separate taxing entity like an S Corp and a C Corp.
Gotcha. So we got to take a quick break, but the phone lines are open, 215-634-8065, and toll free 866-361-0900. Actually, we got a little finesse time here, but I want to circle back just a bit. You mentioned EIN letters, and I don't want to assume that everyone knows what that is, because many of us are at different levels in this entrepreneurship game. So for those of us who are in that building blocks aspect of this, the EIN letter, what is it? Why do we need to know what it is? And what is the role that it plays in our business or in any kind of door that can be opened or closed to us?
Good question.
Eric, I'll let you take lead on that.
No problem. Every time an individual decides they want to start up a business, they have to register that business with the state that they're in, or the state that they choose. Once you register the business with the state and the state says you're good, your name for your business is good, we know you're the one responsible, we approve you, the next step is to get an EIN number with the IRS so you can then register your business with the IRS. It's like the business's Social Security number. That's how you're able to file your taxes every year. And there are certain questions you have to answer on that application for that EIN with the IRS, and it'll indicate the type of tax filings you have to complete each year. It'll say, oh, there are 2 or more people on this application, then you have to file a partnership return. Or you decide you want to apply as a corporation, a C Corp, then they're going to tell you what type of tax return you have to file. So the EIN letter is going to give you your EIN number, all of your normal who's responsible, the address, the name of the business, and then it's going to tell you what type of tax return has to be filed. And that's what's registered with the IRS. So if you do something outside of what they tell you to file, then you have to go back and do amendments, and there's going to be problems going forward unless you fix it.
Gotcha. All right. I wanted to make sure we had that cleared up and understood. And since we do have some more time, Joanna, let's jump back into those
right.
Those
absolutely.
priorities.
And I wanted to continue sharing from what Erica just said on how you actually then use your EIN, right? So there are so many ways that you can use it. Your EIN will play a part in when you are actually applying for business loans. It's a way that you can also start establishing your business credit through starting to apply for your Duns and Bradstreet number, which is, again, a way that you can start to create what they call your paydex score. So just to kind of, I don't want to get too far away from our topic today, but as you can tell, all these things are like a branch off of a tree, right? So from you having your structure set up correctly, you then are able to create and operate in a different way where it does not affect your personal credit. So once you get your EIN number, then from there, you are able to start to get different vendor lines of credit, merchant lines of credit, and start to establish that where all of the operational expenses doesn't have to weigh on your personal credit, which is also known, as your FICO score. So in your business, it's called your paydex score, PAYDEX, and then you have your FICO score, which is your personal. Another thing that you'll find by having your EIN number, having all of this, the supporting documents like your operating agreement, how does your business function? And if you want to get real simple with it, I look at it as, for those that have children out there, and you take your baby and it's a babysitter, and maybe they don't know all the details of what time your baby gets up, what time your baby, what type of Pampers you use, whether you use a Desitin or all that stuff. That is your operating agreement. You are telling people what and how your business actually operates and who's all involved. That is like the most basic way that I can be able to explain it. So nonetheless, when you start to grow your business through different lines of credit and loans and things of that nature, you as an individual will then become the guarantor, but it will not affect your personal credit. Gotcha. But if you're out here trying to have a business and you're doing everything off of yourself, well, you have to think how much risk you're taking on, because now you may have a mortgage on your personal name, your car note is on your personal name, and then you're running a business off of your personal name. All of this stuff is hitting your personal, you as an individual, your personal corporation, because you are looked upon as a corporation as well. And now when your debt to income ratio is affected, it's really hard for you to continue doing the scaling that you need in your business. So making sure that you have an EIN number is way more than just like, oh, I got my business letter. Like, it's bigger than that, and it threads into other areas of how you can be able to scale your business in the future.
Gotcha. And so, Erica, I mean, even in hearing, just that kind of comprehensive breakdown that Joanna just shared, what is it that you would want to make sure folks really understand when it comes to the bones of their business as it relates to taxes? And I kind of want to paint the picture for folks. If we're talking about the bones of business, taxes would be what? Like the nerves? Would it be like the nervous system? Would it be the blood? Like, what role really should folks understand about the financials and the role of taxes in particular when it comes to their business being this living, breathing entity?
And not to interject, but Erica, if you could also share from the accounting perspective, because they really do go in hand for what you shared.
Yeah. I'm going to say, wait a minute, what origin? Because I'm like, wait a minute, I took a couple classes.
Don't worry about it. That's me, girl. That's me.
I took more math and statistics. So
No
I'm
pressure.
trying to figure out, which organs to compare it to. But I will say this.
Yes.
The tax preparation is the end result. Before you can even get to the end result to have your taxes prepared and filed, you have to track your income and expenses every month, every single month. Weekly is preferred in my opinion, but everybody's not going to do that, and that's not everybody's MO, okay? But you have to have the numbers, the financials in place in order to get to that end result of tax preparation. I can't stress enough how important it is. It's the lifeline of your business. You will not be able to move forward in any capacity if you don't understand your numbers, if you don't understand what profit and loss means. Because I've had plenty of people that I've sent tax returns to, and after I've completed their what's called a Schedule C for my LLC folks, they'll say, so did I have a loss or did I have a profit? And I'm thinking, we got to read this together. Like, I don't assume that everybody's going to know, but I need my folks to understand what that means, because that's how people will get over on you. That's how people get over on you and take advantage of you in your business if you don't really have a grasp on your numbers and how you can take those numbers and turn it into asset owning your property. You want an office building, you don't have to lease, you can own that. But if your numbers aren't right to show that you actually have assets, that you have net worth, you're not going to own that property. I've had several clients that wanted to own the building that they're in or purchase a new building, and because we helped them with their book, all they needed to do was ask us for copies of tax returns and copies of P&L statements and balance sheets, and boom, majority of them were approved just off of that information alone. Mm-hmm. It didn't have to be a stressful situation. And then you have clients that, in order to hire an additional person in your company to work, you need to know if you can afford to pay them. Well, how will you know that if you don't know how much money you earn each week and what type of expenses you expense each week? If you don't know those simple things, you're not going to go as far as you would like.
So Erica, can you share some of the different applications that people can use? Let's say for some of our folks that may not be in a position to hire someone like yourself right away, right? What are some tracking systems that they can start using right at home? You know, maybe it might be a moderate cost, or maybe it might be even free. Like, what are some things that they can start doing as good tracking tips?
So there are, several accounting softwares that you can, download to your desktop, or you can use it as an online version. And before I even mention any of those, I tell clients, if you're pretty comfortable with spreadsheets, Google Sheets, Excel spreadsheets, use it. Because at least in the beginning, you're not going to have as many transactions. You can keep up with your income and how much you earned in a week, and then what you expense. It's okay to start there, because that's basically free. You can start with a spreadsheet. But if you feel like you want a system that can kind of put everything together, you could use QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop. You can use, I think it's FreshBooks is another friendly software. Xero, what's that? Xero. Those are some good applications to use, because it can pull your bank information into the software and help categorize your income and your expenses. So that's a good place to start. And a lot of them, they aren't too expensive. They could range from maybe $15 to $45 a month for software, depending on any offers they may have. But it's helpful. I think it's better to have some type of system that can help categorize your transactions than to do everything by hand. But there's still nothing wrong with doing that. As long as you're tracking it in some manner, shape, or form, I'm good with that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd rather pay the monthly up front than the penalties on the back end. I can tell you that.
Ooh,
okay. It's going to cost you. It's going to either cost you in the beginning or it's going to cost you in the end. You're going to pay at some point.
There's this saying that I really did not hear stressed as much. I mean, I heard it in different variations, but the way in which I heard it and how it was delivered was through Bay and that side of the family. But you either pay now to play later, or you play later and pay now later, right? Like, it's up to you which order is going to come in. But both going to happen, or at least one is for sure. You're going to have to pay. You decide when that is, and you have some say in how intense or how heavy that price will be. So I'm so glad we're really, having an important conversation about, not just accounting and taxes and the back end of business, but, the reality of how it plays into the bones of our business and how we move accordingly. So we got to get ready to get out of here, but I want to make sure, number one, Erica, folks know where to, find you, follow you at, get in contact with you for services. And then Joanne and Jane, we're going to close out with you. So Erica, really quickly, can you let folks know how they can get in contact with you or inquire about any services?
Sure. Easiest way, you give us the email, send us an email, info at ericaboothtaxes.com. So call our office on 610-713-5636. And then you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, Erica Booth Tax and Accounting Services. We're there. We post messages several times a week, and we're always trying to keep clients and anyone else with the interest up to date on what's going on, changes, deadlines, and such. So you can easily find us on Facebook and Instagram, Erica Booth Tax and Accounting Services.
Got you. And run that number back one more time, just so we got it.
Yeah, 610-713-5636.
5636. All right. So I want to make sure we got that. 610-713-5636. That's Erica Booth, whom you all just heard from. And we appreciate you for joining us for Happy Hour. And Joanna Jane, I mean, we've covered quite a bit. Not just in this series, but just in general with the information that you always bring us when it comes to coins and conversation here on Happy Hour. So yeah, I mean, what do you want to make sure folks take away from the Bones of Business series, and also, of course, how they stay in touch with you?
Yes, so I hope that over these couple weeks that you have been able to see that it is possible, that nothing is perfect. Part of the biggest thing that you're going to have to do is just say yes to your purpose and your vision. Just jump out there, right? Nobody knows all of it, but I can tell you this: if you make sure that you are seeking counsel, if you are hiring professionals to give you guidance along the way, you'll have less bumps and bruises on the other side. These people have been trained, they're certified, they're held accountable by different bureaus, different industries, so they can be able to help you thrive in your business, so you can be able to manifest it all into your business. One last tip I want to give you is make sure that you always operate as much as possible as the CEO of your business. You want to make sure that you're able to look at it from an eagle's view. Don't work, I can tell you this as a quick tip, don't work 7 days a week on your business. You're going to need a respite day or two to take a step back and look at how did we get things done. Are there clients I need to follow up with where I'm not doing the physical labor of the business, but I'm doing more of the things that keep me engaged and finishing deadlines? So as much as it looks like you may have a business that's going to make so much money and it's going to, help a lot of people, you're going to still need to have time to do the things necessary to keep that business going. For me personally, that's Mondays. Other than being here with my Happy Hour family, I rarely do anything on Mondays, but it gives me that time to just take a step back and look at things at a full view. So I hope that you enjoyed this series of the Bones of Business. Make sure that you reach out to Ms. Erica Booth. Make sure that you also reach out to Dom. We didn't get a chance to bring him on, but CGM Philly is another organization that can be able to help you with your business structures and answer questions. So we are here to help you. Feel free to reach out to me at info@oharadev.com. That's info@oharadev.com. Joanna Jane on Facebook and on Instagram. You can find me as The Real Joanna Jane, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.
All right. So there you have it, loves. We're about to take a quick break, right? But when we come back on the other side, because, Mondays, it's Money Mondays. It's Motivation Monday. We're giving you all that game. And part of the game that we're going to give you also ties to business is, clarity beyond communication. So we're going to have Hania Sharp-Brown, who is joining us. She is the principal at On Point Communications. She and I actually delivered a presentation. I mentioned Chroma 2020 a little earlier. We delivered a presentation on tips and need-to-knows for those who are in need of PR or communication strategies on a shoestring budget. I don't know about you, but it gets real out here in these streets, and that doesn't mean that it doesn't that it should play a part in preventing you from getting beyond those streets, from getting your message and your story beyond those streets, okay? So Hani and I are going to reflect a little bit on that presentation that we did and also pass along some of those tips to you. So stay tuned. This is Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We'll be back after these messages.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese. Exclusive articles and multimedia content and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter.
A job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. Under my plan, 50% of emergency small business relief would be reserved for the smallest businesses to recover from the economic mess we're in and to rebuild the economic future our country deserves. We can't just build back to what it was before. We have to build back better. If we truly want to reward the work in this country, we have to ease the financial burdens of care that families are carrying. To start, every 3- and 4-year-old child gets access to free high-quality preschool, and low- and middle-income families won't spend more than 7% of their income on child care for children under the age of 5. Advancing racial equity across the American economy. Building wealth for families of color. Building a future worthy of their courage and their ambition. Just imagine if we could truly unleash their full potential. I'm confident we can do this.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Be heard.
Be heard.
Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
Using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to WURD Radio.
Independent Black Media.
We've all adjusted our daily routines in these unprecedented times. And for many of us, voting at our polling place in November is a routine that means so much. But did you know that every Pennsylvania voter can vote by mail from home this year? Whether you're a Pennsylvania senior, essential worker, or simply someone who needs more flexibility to vote within a challenging schedule, voting by mail allows you to make your voice heard at the ballot box on your schedule while protecting your family's health. You can turn your mailbox into a ballot box by simply visiting votespa.com on your computer or any mobile device to request your mail-in ballot. With November 3rd around the corner, it's more important than ever to request your mail-in ballot today. It's simple, secure, convenient, and safe. This year, you shouldn't have to choose between your vote and your health. We're all in this together, and voting by mail gives you the power to make your voice heard. So sign up at votespa.com or return your mail-in ballot application to your county election office today. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Holistic health information every weekend with Dr. Paul. Saturdays during the Holistic Hour at 9 a.m. and Sundays during the Green Hour at 3 p.m. right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Streaming live at WURDradio.com and on the WURD Radio app.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
2020 is the year of voter options. We have many different ways to exercise one of the most important activities in our lifetime. Some of us might be voting by mail, but the rest of us can still vote safely while masked up and social distancing in person at your local polling locations. If you're in Philadelphia, learn more about where your polling location might be at either votespa.com or philadelphiavotes.com. For more information on how to vote in Pennsylvania, visit states.aarp.org/Pennsylvania. Vote early.
Hi, my name is Dr. Blake. If you're out there with residual baby fat and you want that waistline back, Smart Lipo Laser is for you at Blake GI Med Spa Services. It is affordable, minimally invasive, minimum discomfort, minimum downtime, and no loose skin. You will see results in 24 hours. Give us a call at Blake GI Med Spa Services today, 215-849-4902.
This is WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
This hole in the wall where the music they play is the kind you listen to wash your troubles away. She sits all alone with her drink on its way, posted with her eyes closed, that's left to right, her head sways. Ooh, so beautiful, like a day. What is her vibe? Yeah, it wasn't like no one's I've ever seen. So hey, hi, would you mind if I take a seat? So I sat, and as we started to chat, that's when she told me she's from Philadelphia. She grew up on the west side. Yeah, a one-room apartment in LA where she now resides. Home is Philadelphia, though we just met tonight. Can I be a part of your life? Favorite color's red. She has 2 dogs and a goldfish. She says after law school she wants a career before kids. We spoke forever on topics like religion and politics, up until the music stopped, which meant our time was at its end. So as the lights came up ever so slow, ever so slow. Had romance, I wasn't about to let it go. So as I pulled out her chair so that we could leave, I asked her, was it too soon to ask her, can you spend the night with me? She's from Philadelphia. She grew up on the west side. On the west side. A one-room apartment in LA where she now resides. Home is Philadelphia. Oh, we just met tonight. Tell me, can I be a part of your life? Miss P-H-I-L-L-Y, can we try to do this? I hope that I'm not asking too much, but can I get a little hometown love? Miss P-H-I-L-L-Y, let's just try to do this. I hope that I'm not asking too much, but can I get a little hometown love? She's from Philadelphia. She's from the west side. On the west side. A one-room apartment in LA where she now resides. Where she now home is Philadelphia. Though we just tonight. Can I be a part of your life? Be a part of your life, baby. She's from Philadelphia. Philadelphia, west side. The west side. A one-room apartment in LA where she now resides. Home is Philadelphia. We just met tonight. Can I be a part of your life?
You're back listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita. Happy Monday, y'all. We are back at it. I got to shout out Joanna Jane. Coins and Conversation, some great information dropped during that segment. Switching gears just a bit. Because, I was out last week, but I was out for a good reason. One of those reasons, don't be like that. Don't be like that. Stop it. One of those reasons being Chroma 2020. Shout out to Black and Brown Founders, nonprofit organization that is really just paving a way, creating space, holding space for Black and Latinx founders and entrepreneurs, right? Giving them the education, the community, and so much more that they need, that we need. And so in not only working on the back end with marketing and communications with Black and Brown founders, also had this opportunity to present, right? And I would just be fully transparent. When this whole conversation came up about me presenting, I'm like, this is actually where I get to stay behind the scenes. I don't have to be in front of the scenes. And they were like, yeah, no, you got expertise. You got some things that you need to teach and to show and all that. And I was like, oh, okay. You know what? I need my homegirl in this with me. I need my sister in this with me, because we can probably do some really great things and offer some really great information for folks. And I'm so glad she said yes, because the talk focused on clarity beyond communication. Right. And so I'm like, well, we're talking about clarity beyond communication. Like there are so many levels to that. And knowing her background, her expertise, it just made sense. I felt like it blended in terms of how we could present this together. So Hania Sharp Brown, who is the principal of On Point Communications, y'all know she a friend of Happy Hour. She's been here before. She's joining us now because I just kind of wanted to give, first of all, create space for us to reflect on what that moment was for us, because even our presentation in itself, we started with her story. Not history, her story, going from Temple University and our days there, and bringing that, full circle to where we're both at right now, how we're building and doing all of these, just blessed things. But also, what you might need to know right now as you build your business, your brand, get your story out there, try to figure out, budget or not for PR, for strategic communications, all of these different things. So with that said, y'all may know her as Hania Sharp Brown. I call her Hani. Hey, girl. Hey.
Girl, hey. I saw Facebook is I said they catching all these mama side eyes over here because the kids don't care when you got meat and stuff at all.
They don't. And I caught it, but I was like, oh, somebody came down the steps or asked a question that they was not supposed to be doing right now. But that's cool, because shout out to all of us living this virtual learning, virtual everything life right now. That doesn't, none of that changes how we have to show up in our roles, right? And our growth and our evolution. So first and foremost, Hani, when you think about like Chroma 2020 and our presentation, clarity beyond communication, what for you kind of sticks out?
The timing, I think, is you can't pay for this kind of time, and you can't make this kind of timing up. Just given the climate that we're in right now, quite honestly, everything is literally has a, laser beam focused on it because we're virtual with everything. And so a tool by which oftentimes maybe people felt like they could choose to use, you now have to use, and you have to be so intentional about what you're communicating and how you're communicating, because everyone is paying attention.
Yeah. And one of the things I know we kind of started out touching on was not only just kind of our history and, founding and launching a student organization at Temple, but also, building a business partnership together and learning each other's communication styles. And like, we started from the place of like, one thing we do not have in common when it comes to our communication styles. And for me, that was like, Hani is very much, she brings the energy of what we not going to do is. And if if you hear that, that energy, right? Like, here's what we not going to do. That may show up in the form of per my last email, like that kind of vibe. That's something that I know we do not have in common with our communication styles. What for you, Hani, was it on my end? Like, were you like, we different?
Listen, I always say you got to know what you know and know what you don't know, right? And so for me, Rita has always been my Obama angry translator. Like, real talk. When it comes to those moments where I know, I need to take a step back. I know what I want to say, but I also recognize that I can't always say it in the way that I want to say it, to Rita's point around per my last email. So I rely on her expertise to essentially translate those things that I want to say, but need to articulate it in a different way, and you got to know your strengths, and you got to know, and you got to not be afraid to ask your friends to help you out, because that's what the circle is for. Okay.
True. That is true. That is true. Because one thing I appreciate about the energy that you bring in your communication style of like what we're not going to do, what we not going to do, is that it gives me space that I don't think I otherwise would feel as empowered to be able to kind of, all right, well, wait a minute now, let me make sure I say what I need to say. Even if I go through my process of like, okay, what's the, the logical, the methodical, the this, the that. It's like, all right, but still, just in all of that, know that we're not going to do this, right? Like, we're going to bring it back to that. But something in our talk that, among other things, I think I definitely appreciated, because, we did these 3 S's and 3 P's, which for the S's, it was storytelling, strategy, and sincerity. And for the P's, it was position, pitch, and publicity. I really appreciated that focus on pitch, and the focal point being that the story is not for sale. And I think in a day and age where so much just seems like it could have a price tag, or does have a price tag attached to it, that it's about us saving space and really being protective of the things that are priceless, and that being our story, and that being what we're pitching and how we're pitching it, especially for small business owners or brands, whatever else the case may be. So I just wanted to make sure, we dove into that just a little bit and gave folks some tips if, you are on that shoestring budget, but you still want to get the word out about what you're doing, or about what your brand is doing, or about, your company and its services. So, Hani, briefly, what did you mean, or what do you mean when you say the story is not for sale when it comes to pitching?
I always tell folks that I'm not a salesperson, and there's definitely a fine line between pitching a story and, getting it to that news director's hand. And the question is always like, why should I care? And it feels like you're selling something, right? But it's not always about everyone catching what you're feeling. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes you got to be okay that the story is not for everybody, and let that guide how you pitch and who you pitch to. Because if you're walking in there with this sales pitch, we talked about some of these other things in the presentation, that might get you the interview, it might get you the camera, but it also may set you up if you're not ready for what comes after all of that. Mm-hmm. And so sticking to what your story, having a good story is not always, guaranteed for coverage in the media. You can't always tell people what you think they want to hear. You create stories and be intentional about the stories, that have a connection, has some action, some urgency with whoever your targeted audience is. Don't just be that person that's like, well, I'm going to just provide some talking points. Talking points are just supposed to be a supportive document, obviously when you're discussing something, but, don't treat your story as I'm trying to sell something, because I'm telling you, I've seen people go into it that way. And then again, when the cameras show up, it's like, okay, we good for one day. And now you scrambling, trying to figure out what's the real impact. Impact, not publicity.
Or even being on this side, right, being a journalist, it's that one question that you didn't anticipate because you were so focused on selling your story that you didn't learn how to properly tell your story, that ends up revealing such a lack of sincerity, or such a lack of truth. And what your story is really about, and what it is that you're really trying to do. One question, and it's crazy, I just said this to my youngest daughter today, about something kind of different, but when I said it hit me, and I was like, I need to hold on to that. But one question is all it takes. One question is all it takes to really be able to gauge whether your story is for sale or not. And I'm saying that as a journalist. I'm saying that as a media professional. One question can really be like revealing about what it is that you're trying to accomplish out here or not. So just remember, the story is not for sale. And Hani, for folks who are, not necessarily having that budget, any tips for those who are listening about how they can still keep in mind the story's not for sale, but also get it out there, get it amplified, and do that on their own.
I will say first, I know we talk about budget, but hire a professional.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just start there. Hire a professional. Don't assume that you can't do it because of your budget. You got to start somewhere, and don't just think like, oh, well, I don't need to have a communications person. You always got to make room for some kind of communications. If it's a one-man band for a little while, then you have to make that work. If you don't have the budget, you have to talk to professionals sometimes, especially folks that are just starting out. I mean, me and Rita go back to college, so I remember starting out with, doing opportunities that meant exchange for services or for other businesses. I encourage, budding entrepreneurs definitely take advantage of that. But folks, don't sleep on hiring a professional, because it's only beneficial to your overall brand. And the last thing that you want to do is make your first impression be your last impression, all because you didn't invest in any kind of, communication support for your business or organization.
Mm. And so what are some things that folks might want to keep in mind when they're scouting those services, or at least, looking at their budget and like, all right, what can I really afford? What's most important? Like, or, if you had to pick out 3 things maybe that folks should keep in mind as they're trying to assess if I'm going to bring on a professional in this capacity, or if I'm going to carry out this service, even in my own regard, like what are those 3 things that I really need to like prioritize?
I would say know your short-term and long-term plan. Plan that out, because I think that will, number one, help you decide from a budgetary perspective what your need is. So you should definitely start with, knowing long-term, short-term story. Also, identify what you want the impact to be. Mm-hmm. You have to identify what the desired outcomes are. I think that's also helping and identify, is this a 1 week thing? Is this a 1 event thing? Is this a 1 month thing where I need to figure out how I'm going to dedicate funding to a particular initiative? And I think if you keep those, and use Google and stuff as a resource. There are templates out there for everything. There are YouTube videos for everything. This is not to take away from what I said when I said hire a professional. But again, when you think about struggling times, or if you really just don't have the budget for it, you have to be resourceful. And I think if you're resourceful, you use templates, you keep those 2 things and 3 things in mind, short term, long term, and identifying the desired outcomes, you'll be okay.
All right. So for folks who, are really assessing the fact that they want success and that they need that kind of guidance and support from a professional standpoint, what's the best way for them to get in contact with On Point Communications and to just stay in touch with you in general?
You can email me at principal, that's PAL, at onpointcoms, 2 M's, S.com. I am more active on Twitter, so you can reach me at onpointcoms on Twitter, or onpoint24_7. Instagram, same handles. Facebook, same handles. And yeah, I'm responsive. I'm accessible. So
hit her up, basically. So I appreciate you, love, for not only just being you and us building the way we built over the years, but also for Chroma 2020, and that presentation that we did, Clarity Beyond Communications. There were a lot of folks who were not playing about the giveaway that we had going on, where we were doing some consultations, or doing consultations, I should say. So, if you did sign up for that giveaway, know that we will be in touch to make sure that you get the time that you were promised, so that we can give you a little something, maybe help you out.
This is what I'll say too. Put yourselves a Sarita, okay? And I mean, whoever that is in your core group, because when we talk about clarity and building businesses, like we have like a little team of, you got to have those folks that you trust. And whoever that is for you, I'm just going to tell you, get you a Sarita so you can get that bag too.
Okay, well, I'll leave that out there. Let your folks hype you up when they hype you up, especially when you'll deliver. Because that's one thing I don't play about, is deliver. Anybody who knows me, I don't like to play about time. We need to be efficient. We need to be effective. But also it's the clarity. where are we moving toward? What is the goal? And I am definitely that one that's like, and how does this contribute to where we're trying to get to? Right? Like just that mile marker, that person that's kind of keeping track of, all right, well, we said this is what we're trying to do, or we said this is who we were aiming to serve. That accountability partner, I think that's what it comes down to, is really important to me. And yeah, when it comes to that PR, when it comes to that crisis communications and then some, you definitely want to hit up On Point Communications. So Hania Sharp Brown, again, thank you for joining us for happy hour. You know, it's always a good time when we have happy hour. This is the on-air happy hour. We have different happy hour and, you know, offside, whatever. But now y'all know how to reach her. And you follow either one of us on social media and, you know, you can keep in touch and get other tips and whatever else the case may be. But with that said, we got to get ready to go to break. When we come back on the other side, we about to break it down. You know, we just did a little bit of the breaking it down as far as clarity beyond communications with Hania Sharp Brown. But y'all know on Mondays we do breaking it down with Kayla J. And she got y'all know Kayla J coming with what she coming with. And I gotta ask, just so folks have a little teaser. Kayla J, because we didn't get to do this a little earlier. What's the question that you're putting out there to folks today? What we breaking down today?
How close is too close when it comes to an ex?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and take this break. And y'all sit on that. Think about that. Don't get yourself in trouble in the meantime, in between time, okay? But let's get ready to have some real conversation about how close is too close when it comes to an ex. Call in, let us know. 215-634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. This is Happy Hour on WURD. I'm sincerely Sarita. We'll be back after these messages.
A job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. Under my plan, 50% of emergency small business relief would be reserved for the smallest businesses to recover from the economic mess we're in and to rebuild the economic future our country deserves. We can't just build back to what it was before. We have to build back better. If we truly want to reward the work in this country, we have to ease the financial burdens of care that families are carrying. To start, every 3- and 4-year-old child gets access to free high-quality preschool, and low- and middle-income families won't spend more than 7% of their income on child care for children under the age of 5. Advancing racial equity across the American economy. Building wealth for families of color. Building a future worthy of their courage and their ambition. Just imagine if we could truly unleash their full potential. I'm confident we can do this.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
No fear, just facts. WURD. It's Health and Wellness Week with Tiffany Bacon. This Monday through Thursday from 7 till 9 p.m. on WURD Radio. Join Tiffany this Monday for a conversation with COVID-19 survivors and learn more about accessing healthcare and choosing a good doctor. Health and Wellness Week. This Monday through Thursday from 7 till 9 p.m. Hosted by Tiffany Bacon. Exclusively on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com. The WURD Radio app, and watch live on WURD TV via Facebook. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
You don't own me. I'm not just one of your many toys. You don't own me. Don't say I can't go with other boys. And don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to say. And please, when I go out with you, don't put me on display. Yes, you don't own me. Don't try to change me in any way. You don't own me. Don't tie me down, 'cause I'll never stay. I don't tell you what
Yeah, back listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio 96.1 FM 900 AM. Listen, right, I was just scrolling on social, and shout out to Oprah Magazine. There is this recent post that they put up probably about 2 hours ago, and the quote is, "Get you a partner that looks out for you like Dr. Biden does for Joe Biden." And this clip shows it shows Biden in a mask, and he's about to board an airplane, but he's taking questions or whatever. And I guess Mrs. Biden must have thought he got a little too close to folks while he was like taking the questions or answering the questions. So she physically just walked over real big, like backed him up a bit, and then stepped off. Just kept it moving. And I just want to say, get you a Mrs. Biden like that.
Yo.
Listen, because when I tell you, sis is clutch every time. I mean, I can't say everything. Sometimes she can't run on stage and literally be like, babe, shut up, don't say that. She don't catch them every time with that. But when she is present and when she can, maneuver or insert herself, sis she knows her role and she plays it well. That's just my personal assessment of what I'm seeing, because she smooth backed him up like, oh no, baby, that's we tested negative. Okay, we know who tested positive right now. We ain't here for that. That's not what we about to be in the news for. So, speaking of partners and what you get you one and what you don't, if it do work out, if it don't, Kayla J, what we breaking down today?
Listen.
She gonna do what she does.
We're breaking down the movie First Wives Club.
From 1996, mind you.
First Wives Club. This was before Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Orange County, they was the original housewives, okay? Listen, but First Wives Club, again, is an old movie back from 1996, and in this movie we follow 4 characters. A lot of folks always say 3, but we follow 4 characters. We have Elise Elliott, who was an actress. We have Annie Portis, who was a professor. We have Brenda Cushman, who was a meat saleswoman, and Cynthia Swan, who passed away at the beginning of the movie, who was also an actress. All 4 of these young ladies met in college, and they were college roommates and college best friends. And of course, as the story goes for a lot of people, as life grows, you kind of grow away from your college friends most of the time. However, what was unique about these women was that they all were first wives, in the meaning of they all were divorcees and their husbands divorced them for someone half of their age. And after Cynthia Swan, who we do not see in the movie after she kills herself, she decided to have death by suicide because her husband did divorce her for someone half of her age. And this is what unites the ladies. They all come back together for Cynthia's funeral and remembers all the good times that they did have in college, and decides to find comfort within each other by rekindling their friendship. And in rekindling their friendship, they all realize that, oh snap, we're divorced again too. And then, they say, for Cynthia's sake, we'll rekindle our friendship and stick it to our husbands. That's their whole purpose. And they decide to create the First Wives Club. And can I say, these women, listen, they the goats. Because some of the stuff that they gave their husbands, my Lord. But, they do a series of events that is really just sticking it to them. One of them, Elise, she sells all of her husband's belongings for $1. And says, well, since the prenup says you get half, she goes to his office and gives him 50 cents, and boom, baby, boom. And he's looking like, what? She said, well, you told me to sell it for what I thought it was worth. It was worth $1. That's amazing. Brenda, she straight up sticks it to her husband, Marty, and say, if you don't help me out, you're going to jail, buddy, because Brenda is a part of the Italian mafia in New York. and know that for a fact that he opened half of his furniture stores with mafia money, which is not on the books. So, you know,
they all had some leverage.
Yeah,
they had some leverage.
She gave it to him, and then the icing on the cake was Annie's husband. Annie's husband was dating a nice little model who he thought was 23, and she was 16. So it was.
It got messy real quick.
It did. It got real messy real fast.
Yep.
But also, so I tell you all that because they decided that they were going to do these horrible revenge things, and in their revenge, they realized that there were millions of women out there just like them who were first wives and wanted to stick it to their husbands, but they realized that sticking it to their husband really wasn't going to get anything accomplished. So they decided to put together a real first wives clubs for divorcees where they can come and they can talk because they didn't want anyone else to be like their friend Cynthia Swan, who decided to kill herself. And that's where my question really comes in. How close is too close? Or how much control should a first wife or an ex-husband have? Because in order to get this club up and off the ground, their ex-husbands paid the entire bill. So they paid for the advertising, they paid for the building, they paid for everything, okay? And, you know, at first they gave them a cool, solid number, but as time progressed, they realized that it was just going to be a little bit more, and they would come back for more and more money.
And you're talking about, so to lay this out, you're saying after the wives embarked on this whole plan for revenge in each of their own ways, that carried out, and then their ex-husbands, you know, kind of conceded and said, all right, look, what is it that you really want?
Right.
And they said, you know, by that point they had realized they wanted to create this club and wanted their ex-husbands to basically fund it, to give them the coins needed to get it done. Ex-husbands said yes.
Ex-husband said yes.
Because at this point, they just want them to leave them alone.
They want them to leave them alone.
Leave me dry. Okay. And so when you're asking this question, you're thinking about the current wives of the ex-husbands.
No. The
from?
current wives, the families. See, now this was a revenge case. All of them aren't revenge cases. I know a few folks who are divorced.
Right.
And some of them still go back to their first wife or their first husband. You know, I know a woman who she's divorced from her first husband, but if she needs something cleaned out the attic, her gutter's clean, she calls her ex-husband, you know, and vice versa. And my thing is, if you do not have children, you know, how close is that too close for comfort? Are you calling your ex to come over and do for women, the manly things that you need to be done that's not physical, you know? I had to put that out there. That's not what I mean. I mean, if you calling them for that, that's your prerogative. But
clean your gutters.
Anyway, if you're not getting your gutters cleaned,
I'm not mature enough for this conversation.
you know, but how close is too close? Like, would if you were married or if you and Bae decided to call it quits, would you call them to come for things that you need, non-physical related?
Right. Call in 215-634-8065.
We got to call her.
215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. How close is too close when it comes to your ex, especially your divorced ex, right? Like y'all got divorced. How close?
Divorced. Y'all got no kids either.
Or, you know, if you're the new spouse or significant other, how close is too close for your significant other, the ex of your significant other, to be in the picture? Let's go to line one. What are your thoughts on the conversation? Who's joining us?
Yeah, it's Carlos.
Hey, Carlos, what's going on?
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. You're talking about ex-husbands and wives, or ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, or what?
Yeah, so, now you got to listen, Carlos. We're asking
I'm
how...
turning the radio back on.
I appreciate that, then. Appreciate you turning it on and tuning back into us. How close is too close when it comes to, you know, your exes you're playing a part in what's going on in your present-day relationship?
But I ain't with nobody right now, but every once in a while, I get a phone call from my ex-girlfriend.
What's the call? Like, is it usually like they need help, or like?
It's kind of complicated, but it's
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, ranging from they were trying to find a place to stay and still trying to get them, trying to move back in. Try them up. She never lived with me, but looking for a place somewhere, to come and lay her head. I'd be like, oh no, because I know what's going to happen. I was like, oh no, because I already some things I found out about her, and I was like, oh no, I ain't going there.
See,
because you know what I'm saying? You've been there, done that.
When you've been there, done that, that's definitely the case. That's real for a lot of folks. It's how close. It's too close, especially when you are the significant other. What about you, KJ? How close is too close? You cool with, your significant other? If his ex calls his ex-wife,
I would say, I'm not married, never have been married. But I'm really not sure. Like when I was thinking about this and I was having conversations with
She
other
lying.
When I was having conversations with some folks about this, they said, I guess it would depend, if I'm a single woman and I'm not going to use that term, and I need you to change a light bulb or something, or
you ain't want to say clean the gutters.
I did, or my toilet broke, and I didn't want to get handled by the plumbers and all that great stuff. This is not going well for me right now. This is
right.
Go so ahead. Many double entendres. Now I'm not mature enough for this. I hate you.
All right, so.
But no, like I don't know. Like I wouldn't call. I probably would. I probably wouldn't call an ex. I personally probably wouldn't call. And if my
no. We saying if your significant other's ex called him.
Oh, that Negro gone.
He go. So if they called him, was like, hey, I'm really in a tight bind. Like, can you help me out? Da 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 da. And he's like, he come to you. You know what I mean? Keep it in 100, babe. Look, so and so called, asked for this help. It's I don't mind doing this. But I want to check in with you.
Well, if he checked in, that means he being honest.
Got you.
And I'm fine.
You were lying. She lying.
I'm fine. I mean, I might be in the car behind him, but I'm fine.
A lie, I was about to say, a lie if there ever was one. But Kayla J is on your heels. Heels, if she even say yes. What? Yeah, sure. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Right on your heels with it.
Why are you trying to put me out there
Because you're not being honest.
Okay, yes. No, I would not be cool with it. I would say yes. I would say yes for the fact that I don't want to look petty, but I will be in the bushes. I'm just saying. But it did make me think of the show Grace and Frankie, how they built the friendship. So I was like, maybe I could build a friendship with
that was different though, because both of their husbands cheat, and Grace and Frankie, which is on Netflix, y'all. That's one of my favorite shows. But both of their husbands cheated on them with each other, so their husbands turned out to be gay. That's a whole nother situation.
And I understand that.
That's a different kind of wives club.
But this is how you keep track of what they asking them to do. You befriend them.
Who, the exes?
Yes.
Okay, so Anita asked, do you trust them? And I think it does come down to trust. Kayla looks so constipated right now. She looks constipated with frustration. It's just like, I don't know, y'all call in. Like, where do you draw the line? Especially with those who have dealt with folks who have baby moms, baby dads, they're co-parenting. That's a whole nother level.
But that's different. Place. I said without the children. Because this is where I'm looking at. Of course, you and your ex-spouse is going to have conversations, especially if you have children together. So I expect you when they call, hey, Bobby or Sally is hurt,
Not these names though, but go ahead.
Tyrone and Shaniqua is hurt.
Wow. Yeah, all of that. Go ahead.
So could you come? I expect that. I expect going to recitals and basketball games and football games and cheerleading. Like, I expect all that. Like, and if you don't do that, I'm gonna look at you a little sideways. Like, do you not love your children?
I need you to help me move. My car broke down. My tire caught it flat. I'm a little short on the bills. Can you help me?
Oh, definitely not short on the bills. But
wait, what you mean?
But
if the kids live in a house that the bills are tied to.
Okay. Helping move it, that's fine. But if your tire broke, boo, call AAA. Yeah.
All right. So what is she like? He's like, I'm just thinking to mitigate anything. I'll just put her on my AAA plan. Whole face drop. Her whole face drop. I'm gonna just add her to the AAA plan. That way, no matter what, she's good. She don't even need to call me. She could just she could call AAA and she got them available as needed.
He's an honorable man.
We taking a break.
He's an honorable man. Praise the Lord.
I'm gonna say the phone lines are open. If you're tuned in over on WURD TV, please feel free to chime in. Where do you draw the line? How much is too much? How close is too close? When it comes to either your ex or your current bae's spouse's significant other, their ex being in the picture, kids or not, like what for you is the line that it starts to get to be a bit too much, where you start to get uncomfortable, like, all right, now wait a minute. You're calling too much. Are you asking for too much? How do you determine that? Call in.
Are they invited to Thanksgiving dinner?
215. That's a good question. That's a good question. Because I have a blended family. So, I mean, for us, that's never. Yeah. 215, y'all, 634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065. And toll free, 866-361-0900. Again, 866-361-0900. Anita said no, he gave his child support. That's it. He gave his child support. Scram. You're listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio. We'll be back after these messages.
At PICO, we know one thing is certain. Times have changed. From kitchen classrooms to couch conference calls, searching for a new job, or new ways to keep your family connected. These changes have become a part of our reality. That's why our teams are working 24/7 to meet the needs of our communities. So no matter how much things change, you can depend on PICO to be there with the energy and help you need to power through. Learn more at pico.com.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Support independent black media and join the 4WURD movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com. Livelihood, the new initiative from WURD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey.
Work, 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 work. You see me heavy work.
Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
You're back listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We're just having a bit of a real discussion about how, how close is too close when it comes to exes and, how you navigate that relationship. Shout out to Malcolm. He said, one of my exes lives around the corner from me and does not know it. Let me run it back. One of my exes lives around the corner from me and does not know it. I saw her I'm not going to even say the grocery store name, Malcolm, because I'm not trying to get you caught up. So I saw her in the market, and I know she has a new man. She asked me if I'm still in the neighborhood, fishing for my address, but I won't tell her I gave her the wrong street. He not even trying. He said, I'm not. That's what he told her. He said, no, sis, no, we're not even opening that door. Right? So, I don't know. I'm curious to know. And this is, for folks who can speak on it. If not, it's just something to think about. We're not trying to cause no trouble.
We're not trying to break up no marriages.
Nothing like that.
No relationships.
Just real conversations. Like,
Just
where do you
asking.
draw the line on how close is too close for an ex? Like, because I done seen some situations where, they might have got too close for comfort for some folks. And kids definitely, I think, can sometimes shift
role,
shift all of it. I will say I'm definitely thankful, and I think it takes it definitely takes a certain level of maturity and just whatever else, and folks who have to navigate those kinds of blended families. I'm thankful that for me that's never been something that I've had to struggle with, like our family has had to struggle with. Like on the blended family part, it's just like, look, the kids come first, period. Right? Thanksgiving, holidays, whatever it may be, it's about how much of this experience can we make sure that they have all folks present for, right? And building relationships. And so whether it was with their father or just on the flip, like we all had the real conversations of like, all right, what are we doing for the kids? How are we going to figure this out together? It's always been very much along that lines. I'm thankful for that. That is not something that is easily achieved. I understand that in a lot of different circumstances. If you can, though, and it has to be a conscious decision, like by all means, please do. Also knowing that it's parties that do not make that easy, right? And you also got to be real about that, because you want to keep a healthy maintain a healthy environment for the kids. So let's go to line one. I believe we have Maurice on line one who wants to chime in. Maurice, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is I almost asked her for help. I divorced my wife in '94. Okay. Mm-hmm. Every time she sees me or she's with her friend, or even when she's with her new friend, she says, "There's my husband."
She called you her first man?
My wife I divorced in '94. She could be with her man and say, "Hold up, there's my husband. Stop the car."
Oh, it's not like ex-husband?
No. This her present man she's with. But when she sees, I divorced her in '94.
Right.
And she still says I'm her husband.
Oh, okay.
Hey, listen.
How that make you feel?
Sometimes I need to go to the store or something, she'll take his car and take me to the store. And talk to him on the phone and say, "Listen, I can't get with you right now. I'm taking my husband to the store."
So how do he feel about that?
I have no idea, because she does that with every other husband. I mean, every other boyfriend. She's always, no matter if I get sick, she want to be the first one there.
Got you.
And take over. I mean, I can have a girlfriend there, and she'll sit there and try to wait for the girlfriend to leave.
What do the girlfriends be saying?
Yeah.
They're like, "Man, your wife or your ex-wife, you sure y'all divorced? Because she ain't leaving."
Wow.
She tries to spend the night. You know, you get the privileges where if you got a separate room and your closest person can stay maybe overnight or stay late.
Right.
She's been kicked out the hospital.
By your girlfriend or by the staff?
By the staff.
Oh, snap.
Security had to come.
Wow.
That's intense.
Make her leave.
Y'all might as well get back together.
It's been that way since '94.
Wow. Okay. Well, that adds perspective to the conversation for sure. Because if I'm the girlfriend, ma'am.
Listen, Linda.
Now. Now. Wait a minute. I appreciate the concern, but don't get no.
Back on up, honey.
This is why it's important to have these conversations, because you got to be real with yourself. That's all we got to say. We got to get out of here.
But before we leave, before we get on that, I do want to say that I do know a blended family. Some folks that are really near and dear to me have children from out of two different marriages, and I think that they handle it perfectly. You know, if it pertains to the children, both parents are there, including the new spouse, you know, taking care of the kids. If it's family things, blended, sometimes it's a big blended happy party. Sometimes it's just the new intimate one. And I've seen them level it so where everyone's in the loop, you know, rather it's a need to know, or hey, I just want to let you know.
Right.
And I know that it's possible.
It is.
I do know that some folks call on their first husbands or their first wives for certain things because it's just that you were their first. Sometimes it may be something you know or something you can handle and do. But I do want y'all to know that I know blended families, and I think y'all are amazing.
Yeah, I think it comes down to trust. It comes down to, y'all know my thing is evolution, and so regardless of what, someone may hold a particular role in your life, but that does not mean that they won't always have a position or have a place in your life, right? Like, no, you may not always be my significant other, but that does not mean that you won't play a part as my friend in the future, right? And for me, with any relationship or anything like that, it's going to start with friendship, which is why, you know, I've had relationships where even once the actual intimate relationship phased out, we were still able to maintain a friendship because that was what was always at the core of it. And so therefore we were always still able to maintain that friendship because we prioritized that above all else. And so, you know, even in this moment, I know a lot of us in 2020 are starting to really re-examine our relationships and our needs and our values. Make sure that when you're looking at the foundation, you're putting friendship at the foundation of anything that you build upon, because that's the root right there, right? And that's all I'm just saying. Focus on the foundation. Let the foundation be friendship. That's what I'm just saying today. What you was just saying, Kaylee J.
I'm just saying ditto to that. Let the foundation be friendship.
Yeah.
Because if you're not friends, it's a sinking ship because you don't really care for each other. You're there for other reasons.
Somebody mess around and get cut. It's Tuesday. We don't need this out here in 2020. Y'all, let's do it better. Let's do it better. Anywho, that's a wrap. A special thank you to all of our guests who made today's show possible. Much love and appreciation to Kayla J for holding down the phone lines, the boards, and everything in between. It's been a great first day back for Happy Hour. If you haven't already, follow WURD across all platforms at onWURD on Facebook, at onWURD on Instagram and YouTube. While you're at it, check me out on IG and Facebook as well, at Sincerely Sarita. Kayla J is at KALAJ_music nerd on Instagram. Up next is Tonight on Word, so stay tuned for that. We're back tomorrow for Talent Tuesday. Be ready for open mic night, y'all. But until then, remember to taste your words before you feed them to someone else. And always, always, always empathize, empower, and evolve. Peace.